I'm in Max. You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Why, hello.
Right there.
And welcome to Season 21, Episode 6 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Gina.
My name is Adam.
My name is Sturk. Adam?
Adam.
Who are you and what do you do that makes you famous?
Hello. Well, I'm known as Batman.
Now you're bragging.
Now,
right?
now everyone knows.
Yes, for those who don't know, my actual, real, live, legitimate name is Adam West.
That's awesome.
Yes. But I am Adam, and you know me because I have been running Interpol X on every other Monday night here on Happy Jack's RPG.
Best name ever, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm pretty happy about it. It's served me well. Best networking tool you could ask for. And, yes. Oh, Interpol X is the best thing ever. That's pretty awesome too. Yeah. They had to. I was not sure about that one. I wanted to call it Gray Notice. But they were like, no, it's going to be like too like alien ET, and I'm like, well, it's definitely not alien. So yeah, but then they said Interpol X, and I'm like, oh, I think I like that.
I like that a
I
lot.
like that
That's
too.
It's my
Gray Notice sounds cool too.
It's a game I was thinking about for a very long time because I came across that subject of Interpol having these color-coded notices, and I'm like, ooh, what if they had a gray notice where they investigate supernatural stuff? And I'd been wanting to do this game for so long, and then Kimmy and Jason asked me if I wanted to run a game for Happy Jacks, and I'm like, I could do this finally. So yeah,
Cool beans.
yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
a great format, too. Sort of the one-shot kind of Twilight Zone
Monster
sort
of
of
the Week.
episodic Monster
Right,
of the Week
exactly.
kind of thing.
Monster of the
Yeah.
Week, which I love that system.
I do
and
too.
And it's great because you just
Shout out to Michael Sands.
Yes. You get into a thing and then you can just move on, and but you can. It easily accomplishes long-term character arcs as well if you continue playing. But it's sort of designed to have just this quick episode, and you have a little fun and kill some monsters and move on. So.
It's my first.
And you're running a tight game. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I've been
Thank you. I
watching
appreciate
them.
that.
They're very good. They're very good. You're a great GM.
Oh, that's really nice to know. So I feel so self-conscious about it. I was complaining about myself to Stu and Kimmy early on, and I'm like, we could cut 30 minutes out of the game if you just edited out my uhs and ums.
Nah.
Stu's like, it's okay.
It's okay. You're
So,
fine.
but-
I haven't seen you dive for the book to look up everything every time a player throws something. You haven't? I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
my job.
Maybe you do.
That's your job. Yeah. I generally don't. I play pretty fast and loose with the rules, and I generally kind of stick very close to the basic moves when I run PBTA games. I just, if it sounds like a move, I have them make a move, and if I don't know what the move is, I say, let's make one up.
That's kind of the key, right? I mean, it's
I think so.
It's sort of like that's what you're supposed to do. Is
Right.
everybody's
Yeah.
supposed to be in a
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think because the GM isn't supposed to know what's going to happen any more than the players are, it kind of leads you to just say, okay, I don't know what it's going to be, so I don't have to look up the rules. I don't have to dig through
Well
the
played.
book for
Well said.
something.
Well said.
Because
It keeps the
it's-
energy
yeah.
up
Yep.
and stuff too.
Yeah.
So keeps
Yeah.
the momentum going. And
Keeping with the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
The players
Yep.
run it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of PBTA system. Everybody who's been involved with it, and Monster of the Week and Monster Hearts and now Masked are like some of my favorite games I've ever
Everything
played.
starting with M.
Me too.
Everything starting with M, yeah. I'm sure there's another one. So,
Well, Apocalypse World.
yes,
Yeah.
the original Apocalypse
Yep.
World is really fantastic
Yep.
and completely opened my mind up about gaming. I had mostly done traditional games until I got to that point, and
When you say traditional games,
when I say traditional games, the less story-driven games, or the less inherently
Like?
story-driven games, like D&D,
Oh.
World of Darkness,
Yeah.
trad games, and then some friends introduced me to hippie games, as they called them, and I played several in little bits, Spirit of the Century and Primetime Adventures and things like
nice.
that. And then all of a sudden, my friend Vasco, who's a really great guy and one of my favorite people to ever game with, he said, I've got this new game called Apocalypse World. And he's like, let's play it. And we have never fully played it. We've played like 4 one-shots. Every time we just can't seem to make it work. But I love the game and I love the system. And but for some reason can't actually play the original Apocalypse World for longer than like 2 or 3 sessions.
I can't read the original Apocalypse World.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
The way it's
it
written.
doesnll bother me, but I totally get it. I've heard that a lot.
I got Urban Shadows,
Yeah.
and I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
And that style of game. So I'll read that one.
Oh, absolutely.
It's also a good title, Urban Shadows. I
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It really, it I don't know who put together those adjectives, but it really sums up a mood.
Oh
It
yeah,
does.
yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome.
Hi,
Yes.
thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, David from Tampa writes in about social contracts and gaming. Marcus from Brazil found a game. He sent an email a couple weeks ago, and he's going to tell us about it. Jeff sends us a GM success story and a horror story.
Yes.
And Costa from Adelaide,
Costa.
Australia.
in Australia.
We just missed Waitangi Day.
We
by
just
the
lost
way.
all our
Well,
Australian
I did,
because
yeah,
you use a
right, 'cause
shit
I
Australian
did.
accent.
I did,
Yeah.
right. And I brought up Waitangi Day.
So you saying
That's
it's,
not-
New Zealand.
so you're saying it's actually Costa?
He's probably casting.
Costa.
Right.
Casting from Adelaide.
Costa from Italy.
Sorry, don't tune out, Australians, please. Sends not one but 2 dramatically appropriate horror stories. 2 dramatically appropriate horror
Stories are the best. They really are.
They are, and we got a couple. So
Let me
That's
tell you, the
exciting.
horror is coming. It's horrible.
It is.
It's horrible.
I got another one.
Okay.
I got another one today for next week. Well, not next week, the week after. By the way, we got a game convention coming up next weekend.
Valentine's gone.
September 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Yep.
At the LAX Hilton Hotel, strategicon.net for information about that. We'll be there Saturday night. We will attempt to stream the show live, and I don't think Kimmy's going to be there, so I'm going to have to set the whole thing up myself.
Uh-oh.
It'll be fascinating.
You can do it.
There's also the NBA
I have
is
faith in
there.
you.
The hotel
Yeah.
is probably sold out.
I'm going to invite some NBA All-Stars to the
Let's do it.
podcast.
I think you should. Yeah, they should play a real game.
They should.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry, sports ball fans.
Ball of sport.
And then it's amazing. It's like all of the RPG people, and then these tall, beautiful people.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, and they're always
And
dressed
they're
really
hangers-on,
nice,
yeah.
and they're in the elevators, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
look gorgeous.
And they smell
outfits,
good,
And we're
look
wearing Who
good.
Farted T-shirts with
Yeah.
our geek pads on.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really actually quite embarrassing. I had a long hotel ride, and people were looking at me,
Yep.
and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, we're obviously at 2 different conventions.
Right.
Yeah. And it's always at the same time as Gallifrey 1.
Which is the next hotel down.
yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
you will occasionally get to see super cool Who costumes.
A lot of Tom Baker
cosplays walking through.
scarves. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I
And
might
the
actually
NBA All-Stars.
get to go this year. Which
Oh,
will be
awesome.
Nice. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Yay.
Not that I'm signed up for anything or have tickets, but maybe.
No,
so.
do
Well,
it.
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say, which is I think the hotel is packed and sold out. So if you're going to go, Uber it and then just
Oh,
head
yeah.
back home because I'm not sure you can
Well,
stay anywhere nearby with Gallifrey. NBA,
Oh, that's true.
Plus,
Yeah.
and this going
parking
on.
is shite.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
The valet
Or
and the
incredibly
valet and
expensive.
stuff.
Possible.
Yeah.
It's quite possible
Yeah.
you could find something. I'm just saying with these 3 events having
Yeah.
To park for the weekend's like $150.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, and they run
Valet,
out. They
valet.
well
Oh, yeah.
on Saturdays they run out of parking like
Yeah,
early
right.
in the morning. So
I've always valeted because it's just easier. I'm like, here's
Well, I
my-
have all that stuff. I have all the podcast
Yeah.
stuff I have to bring
Right.
and all my
Yeah.
gaming stuff.
I would
Plus, I have
add
my
a lot.
kids now, so
oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Well,
this
roof rack.
they're having fun.
but go and
Yeah.
check it out. Just don't. You may not be able to stay.
Right. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. Don't forget to do that because we're getting plenty of emails, but there's no backlog of emails, which always makes me a little nervous. So if you have something you want to ask, or you have something, a story you want to tell us, or a horror story, especially horror stories. that you wanna
Otherwise,
tell
we're
us.
just gonna like wax rhapsodic about stuff that we used to play,
We'll
and
talk
nobody
about
wants to
the
hear
old
that.
days.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. So you got to send them in. This is a threat.
It's going to be like reading Ready Player One, but less interesting.
and over only much worse written.
And
Worsely
there-
written.
Worsely written?
Worsely written.
Worsely written?
But
Yes.
more
Poor-
badly
poorly?
written.
Yeah.
Written
Poorly?
worse.
Yes, yeah.
And I went and looked up Johnny
Totally
Sacco.
worse.
Johnny
Totally.
Sacco.
Johnny Sacco and his giant robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember John?
I know
No.
the names. Oh.
You don't remember that?
No.
You didn't watch Johnny Sacco and his giant robot?
No.
I know those names.
It had a giant robot in it. Why would I watch that?
It was awesome.
Why
It was
would-
made in 19.
I'm sorry, it had giant robot in it. Why would I watch that?
Well,
It was made in 1967.
Yeah.
okay.
It was made in
Buzzer.
Japan, so you know it's quality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because cinema in Japan in 1967 was fantastic.
It's no Ultraman.
It wasn't
Around the same
it
time.
wasn't
All right.
Around the same
fantastic.
time.
Yeah.
It had a giant dude in a suit,
Yeah.
and it had kind of an Egyptian head to it.
Oh.
And there's a little kid who belonged to this organization where they all wore these jumpsuits with helmets.
It's
I don't know why
Japan.
they wore helmets, but they
Pre-
wore helmets.
pre-
The
Pre-Power-
Japanese,
yeah,
especially in the
pre-Power
70s,
Rangers.
were very big on giving little kids giant robots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this was 67, so this is even
Well-
older. He had a watch. He'd open the watch up and said, "Giant robot,
Yeah.
attack!"
Yeah.
And
I don't know about
That's
you guys, but
awesome.
when I was 8, I did not have a giant robot.
I didn't.
Despite
I
how
would've
many
liked
times I
one.
asked Santa for one.
Yeah. That would have been cool.
I missed
But anyway, the
giant robots, I
moral is if you don't email us, then I will get on here and read my Jason the Wheeled Warriors fanfic. So send those stories.
I
all right, so
don't want to hear that.
I know,
Right?
I know, right? Thinking back to Jason, I'm like, oh, I got to write that.
Yeah.
That was just going to be a joke, but
someone started writing fanfic about some of the vampire characters in our last Vampire the
really?
Masquerade.
Oh man.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Oh wow.
And here's what's going to happen. They're going to end up selling it. It's going to be like 50,
Who got-
50
got-
shades of lavender.
Who got shipped?
Uh-huh.
Who did they ship?
It was Albert and Scully.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, yeah,
God.
yeah.
I remember I was on a cast where that got mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh, and someone noticed that I'm wearing my Vampire the Masquerade 20th Anniversary Edition themed shirt.
Is that what it is?
It's not, but it kind of looks a little
Can
like
be.
it. It's a little dark in the...
It looks like I'm swimming through a kelp forest when I stare at that.
Right, it does.
It truly is.
It's
I
like-
love this
yeah,
shirt.
it's like the Changeling the Lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about as readable.
That's nice.
you can find us on social
I figured
media.
you were green screening in the skin of your body. It's just like you're wearing against a big green screen robe.
If we can do that, I
Right. Yeah.
hook up
let's-
this end of the table.
Yes.
too.
We should
Yeah.
green screen so like, oh,
Yeah.
we're at the Taj Mahal.
I got a camera that can do that.
Do you?
Yeah, because
I don't know. OBS might be able to do that. I don't know.
OBS totally can, because I had a conversation with Kimmy about this, because I'm like, I'm going to buy this camera, and like there are cameras you can buy where you can replace the background,
Right.
so that like if
Well,
you're
I was-
streaming yourself
I
gaming.
was going to say,
or-
Kimmy's got a husband
Yeah.
that can do that. So, yeah.
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 But she said OBS.
I think OBS can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kimmy, we're painting the
Yeah.
walls green.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we can
Oh
have
my
like
God.
ogres behind us.
Right? Yeah.
And,
I
yeah.
could have like different like cities for every
Yeah.
Interpol
Right.
X episode.
There you go. Yeah. See.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
All right, Kimmy, you have a new project.
I'm just going to
So I
have
ain't
the
doing
loop. I'm going to have the loop of like the South American warriors chasing Indy over the hill the entire time.
That would be cool.
You can find us on social media: Twitter, HappyJacksRPG, all one word. Also Instagram and also Facebook. If you'd like to watch the show live, we do the show at 8 p.m. Pacific time
Yeah.
on Friday nights.
It's 8-ish.
Or
Yeah, let's
8-ish.
be fair.
We were good. We were
close
good.
We were very close to on time. Happy
That's
Jack.
ish.
Yes.
That's the ish part.
We were 8:05. So we started.
Happy Jacks. That's why we did that. I think.
Got it.
You need to
Like I
catch up.
understand the significance now.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
So we stream every Friday at 8:05 p.m. Pacific time. Go to happyjacks.org/live and you have all the links to all of that stuff. And hello, chat room. There's people in the chat room. It's nice to see you.
Yay.
Yay.
Let's see. That's already did the announcement.
Yep.
Someone wanted me to plug another convention. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Since you're new, you want to read the first email?
Sure.
This is kind of
Yes.
the featured
You can do it.
email. We're going to talk a little bit about. I want to
Or
talk a little.
topic.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, everybody. It's my first time on the podcast. I'm really excited. So this is social contracts.
Yep.
Okay, I really liked this email. Thank you, David. Social contracts from David in Tampa. Dear Stu and that crazy band of gamers.
That's you.
That's me. Yeah, definitely. I've written Happy Jacks a few times now with questions, a gaming nightmare, and GM triumph. We've laughed, we've cried, and we've saved the realm. This time around, I'm hoping to hear a conversation about social contracts for gaming. I've been playing since the Red Box, and I prefer to GM. Recently, we started a role-playing club in a town just outside of Tampa called the Brandon Area Gamers, or BAG. I like that.
Yeah.
To generate interest and attendance in BAG, I volunteered to leap into the mouth of the beast and do one of my least favorite things, run a 5e campaign.
Yeah.
All of Drax and then
Nice.
rip yourself out.
Yeah,
from
very
the
much.
inside.
Yeah,
Yes,
very
yeah.
Drax-ish.
I really wanted to run GURPS. Sorry, that's just how I say it.
Yeah.
I really wanted to run GURPS.
Yeah.
Because this silly
You didn't say it right.
GURPS. Because this silly podcast I listen to is always going on about how great the system is.
Who are those knuckleheads?
I don't know, but I would not have anything to do with them personally. Oh, wait, shoot. I was able to manipulate my way into all of the core books and Dungeon Fantasy for Christmas. Alas, if you advertise a GURPS game...
So you said it wrong.
GURPS game.
Yeah.
Those are two soundbites.
I love this. GURPS. Sorry. Alas, if you advertise a GURPS game... Well, I have failed my first email reading. Thanks,
Thank you, good
everybody.
night.
No, it's our job to
Yeah.
make sure that,
He'll be here all week.
It's easy to just read.
I know, right? Yeah. Comma, you get only a smattering of lukewarm applause, whilst a listing of 5e will gain you an uproarious ovation.
You know what? Unfortunately, that's probably very
Yes.
true. Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
it's-
That's
people
why
run-
we ran our 5th edition D&D game.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
assessment.
It's true. Heavily burdened with a system I didn't want, I started walking my long and arduous path with the world's most popular role-playing game.
You know what, though?
Aw.
First of all, I give you high props for noticing and knowing full well what you got yourself into, and you phrased this very well. Which is, the game doesn't suck, but it's arduous and long, and here we go.
Yeah. And
Well played.
That's like D&D Sisyphus or something.
It is.
It
is.
well,
The
would,
long slog,
Gotta
slog.
yeah,
Okay.
Roll that stone
Yeah.
up the hill.
see, I would have called that
Sigh.
3.5,
Yeah.
but yes. So, continuing on,
Okay.
I got a total of 8 players the first session, and I started by reading them a social contract that I expected all of us to abide by for the remainder of the campaign. Good idea.
Yeah.
It's not my first time doing a social contract. When I run public events at gaming stores, I like to lay out the rules of conduct and set the expectations from the beginning. I love this, and it's brilliant.
Especially because it's public in quotes, and which is, I think,
Public
key.
in quotes,
Yes,
yeah.
it's key.
Yeah. The topics that I covered were the tone of the game, high adventure, moderate magic, table behavior and acceptance of other players, topics and actions that weren't acceptable at the table, such as graphic torture, murder, rape, or any kind of sexual behavior between the players. In parentheses, I'm not a big one for role-playing sex. Player sensitivity. Everyone can be expected to know what your everyone cannot be expected to know what your trigger words are all the time.
And it's unfair to expect them to know it.
Yes, exactly. Acceptance of failure / PC death, attendance / participation, and the most important rule: don't be a douche.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The question for this email is this: have you ever used a social contract? And if so, what do you think is important to cover in said contract? I humbly await your discussion. Sincerely, David from Tampa. P.S. You know, drink. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'll take your advice. I haven't done a game store game in a long time. And this is before the word social contract was even invented.
This is the
Usually it was
Mad Men
implied
era.
consent.
It's all highballs and
Yeah.
doobies after
Right,
seven.
yeah,
Consent back then.
Key
So I mean,
parties.
Right.
I
The
actually
woman
think,
did show up. It was just to
Yeah.
give you sandwiches.
Exactly.
It's like, I mean,
Oh, sad.
I think
it's sad that it was true, you
Yeah.
know, in a lot of ways. But anyway,
I
sorry.
think for a pickup group, this is a really great idea.
Absolutely, yeah.
It gives the group an idea of what you have in mind and whether they can say yay or nay. They kind of know where there's boundaries, and I actually kind of like having a couple of boundaries. So you know, here's the playing field. You're welcome to just have at it here, but here are some rules. And it's not like this is a huge list of rules. It's not like it's 30
Right.
pages of you can and can't do. It defines a boundary, and it's comforting to know that somebody's thought this stuff out ahead
Yeah.
of time, and that you're prepared. Oftentimes I'll read, or in fact, I read this email and I went, oh, yeah, that's really cool. I actually think that I would enjoy playing with somebody that is this cool and has thought this stuff
Yes.
through ahead of time.
Well, and I think if there is anything, in that social contract that rubs you the wrong way, then you know that you should step out, sort of. So I think it's super smart to do that.
And forewarned is forearmed, right?
Absolutely. No, and it actually made me think that it's brilliant to do this, particularly when you're playing with people you don't know, because you don't necessarily know these things. And if you're not comfortable running certain scenarios, or you don't want to see a game go in a certain direction, then absolutely be upfront about that. And so it opens up that conversation, which I think is very smart, because then I think even you saying, here's what I expect from us from our social contract, it invites, I think, other people to give feedback as well. But it made me think that while I have had some of this in games I've played, that there maybe should be more even with the people I'm comfortable and familiar with. That
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was like,
mean to
something.
distract
Is there a mouse?
He's doing it on purpose.
It's a mouse.
I'm
No,
pointing
I
at
wasn't. I really wasn't.
Well, I was like, the beer's right
you
here.
point to this giant pile of garbage, and I'm supposed to figure out. Is it the
Someday-
Not on
tape?
camera. Shut up.
For those
It doesn't exist if it's
for
not
those
on
who
camera.
can't see that part of the table, like
It's a giant pile of shit.
like
The thing that's immediately to your right, Stork, and show the camera.
I should have. Well, okay. I
Legit.
got this.
there's a drill.
Yeah.
There is a giant bag of Hershey's Kisses. There is a velvet bag of dice. There is a
Yeah.
black
That's a light.
metallic
It's a light.
technology thing.
There's
Yeah.
a piece of laminate.
There's-
There's
yeah.
There's a
There
piece of
is-
flooring.
there's duct tape.
Duct tape. Yeah.
Gaffer's
Don't
tape
ask.
too.
And gaffer's tape. There is
Clearly, clearly, I can't
But
be.
exactly, I was like, what does he want? There's stuff
But it's
down
the
there.
Altoids.
Yeah.
That was,
Is there a diagna in there?
There could have been a very
See, I'm
a
amongst
very
friends.
small
Everybody knows.
person.
right? Yeah.
A small people could be down
It
there.
could
Yeah.
be. We
There could have
completely
been.
derailed your
No, that's
really
okay.
well thought out argument.
I derailed myself a little bit too. So no, but it made me think that there should. Well, I've participated in games even with regular groups and friends I
Yeah.
play with where we do have a social contract at the beginning, and it mostly the thing that wasn't in here that I know we talk about a lot in home groups is expectations for if you can't make a session
Yeah.
or knowing when the sessions are, that sort of thing, and what's going to happen. We're going to
That's
play
actually-
as long as we have over 50% of the players or that sort of thing. But it made me think that I think this is such a great list of topics and subjects to discuss, especially with a group you don't know, but that there should be more overlap with people I'm comfortable with, just because you end up having those conversations. So.
Yeah, I like that. I like this idea of being explicit about the social contract because, I mean, when we start a game with a group of people, we all are technically
Strangers.
but we're like like really entering a social contract. It's just usually an unspoken social contract.
Fair enough. Okay.
You know, and the idea of setting this out and saying, look, this is what I expect, and if I'm going to
Yep.
run this game, I want these things to be kind of on the table and these certain things to be off limits, and then opening that up and saying, what do you want, and coming to an agreement,
Yep.
I think is really nice to be explicit about that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I lament the fact that it's necessary.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because, especially when you're dealing in a situation where you're dealing with people you do not know.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you bring up torture or rape in a game if you're sitting around at all? Well, torture. All player characters eventually end up torturing people. They don't talk. But
The kobold doesn't give us information. We torture him.
Right.
but why would you
You're lawful
bring that
good.
stuff up in general? But also at a table of people you don't know. It doesn't
Yes.
make any sense that people would do this. Yet they do.
Except for
Yet they
if
do.
it
Well
would
played.
not surprise me one bit if David has had experience where he's run games in public where
Yeah.
it's like, dude, that one guy that one time,
Right.
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah. And we
'Cause
all know that one guy.
Yeah.
We've all played with that one
Yeah.
guy at least a dozen
I'm
times.
Yeah.
sitting right here.
Sorry.
Oh, guys.
I think partially it's because so many people in general, not just
Yeah.
gamers, but people in general fail the most important rule, as David describes it, which I think is great. Don't be a douche.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole to people. I
Well-
don't understand why that isn't hard.
You know
Or why
why?
that is
Because
hard.
like we were talking before we went live, we were talking about superhero games.
Yeah.
Because woo.
Right.
Yeah. But we were talking about how villains don't necessarily think they're villains.
Right.
So douches don't always know
Don't
they're
always-
douches.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, I don't know that thing I just said to you was totally
I think
rude.
that's actually
Yeah.
the key point about being a douche is you don't know
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you are socially
And sometimes you do.
unacceptable.
Because you're a dick.
Right.
And
Well, that's a dick.
Yeah.
That's not a douche.
that's true. That's true.
No, but there's in the Venn diagram of dick and douche.
There is overlap.
Extensive
There is some
crossover.
overlap.
And
Right,
then there are
yes,
those
yeah.
rare creatures that are like, that
Yeah.
have both of those things.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that
Where
rare.
the douche
Yeah, I
and the
know, they're
dick
not.
overlap, it's an asshole.
The taint.
We should start calling these people
Ooh,
taints.
it
Don't
is the
be a
taint. It's totally the taint.
Yeah.
It's like
What was
that.
the other name for it? What was it?
The gooch.
The gooch.
Oh,
That
the
was-
gooch,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Minnesota gooch.
Right, yeah.
Except it wasn't.
Because
yeah.
it's between these two things that like might be enjoyable to you, but nobody else needs to know about what
Right.
you do with them. And yet it's this
Yeah.
useless zone.
Yeah.
A
That's-
useless zone, and that pretty much sums it right
Well,
up.
it's not
right there.
entirely useless. It's stimulating, but not in a way that's enjoyable for anyone
No,
else.
but it's-
So don't be a
it's
taint.
necessary to keep essential parts separated.
Let's not give these people any
Right.
credit.
So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
If-
so they're
yeah.
necessary to the environment, or everything would collapse
All right.
together,
Listen, now,
and that would be wrong.
You know, you're my new best friend.
this analogy is breaking down now. And all of a sudden, you've given black hole a whole
I
new
actually
meaning.
thought this analogy just got rocket boosters
Right.
and
yeah.
went to freaking Amazeball.
And the rocket
planet.
boosters landed themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
How cool was that, though?
That was
awesome.
amazing.
Love that video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Elon Musk.
Thank you.
Please save us
I
from
was like,
ourselves.
Stork-
Bond
Yes.
villain though you
Stork,
may be.
Yes.
I was just totally thinking, Stark, we don't talk about that social contract on the air. We don't talk about your videos you watch.
No.
Oh.
No.
But then you said Elon Musk, and I
Musk,
went,
yeah.
okay, I get it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a different thing.
Well, I love the fact that he. Okay, there was once upon a time when finding a group, going, you would literally put your name on a bulletin board
Yeah.
and stuff, and then people would show up, and then you would winnow through and stuff. But the idea of coming up with a social contract never crossed my mind, and I think because you were just lucky enough to find people in the wilderness who would heed your call.
I think you're right. In the
Yeah.
earlier days, you might be reluctant to do anything like this because you don't want to turn anyone away. Because there's
Right.
in
Yeah.
your city there might only be 5 of you.
Right?
Yes.
Seriously,
Right. Yeah.
you're like a voice crying in the wilderness, and like,
Yep.
oh.
And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if your play styles are incompatible
Yep.
because
Right.
it's either play with them or don't
Or
play
don't
at all.
play, yeah.
Exactly.
I have literally gone years of my life without gaming because I could not get up the courage to go meet strangers at the gaming store. The one gaming store that was across town, and and then I never wanted to be around most of those people because of social anxiety.
Yeah.
And then, and it's like I have to go across town, I have to have a flyer with my number printed on it and hope they call while I'm at home because this is before we had cell phones. And
Oh, you're old too.
I am old
That's
too. Yes,
awesome.
I am
Thank
old
you.
too.
All right.
Yes, I am. I got my first cell phone when I was 31. 31. Yeah. So yeah, long time ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's our age. That's awesome.
Are you
Yeah,
really?
like it.
Are you
I am.
our age?
I am.
Was it a flip
yeah,
phone? A bar phone?
It was a bar.
We're not
phone,
going to say
yeah,
what that
yeah.
age is, but
Yeah.
it's
No,
it's
No.
definitely
It's-
in the born in the mid to late 60s.
I'm a little younger than.
Yeah.
Damn
I
it.
was going to say,
Early 70s.
Okay.
Yes, born in the early 70s.
Very early, though.
Yes. Very well, not 74.
He's
Sorry.
Child.
Kid. Child.
Child, yes. Yeah. Hey, but I may have been 3 years old, but I saw Star Wars on the big screen, so
Okay. All right.
I got cred.
All right, you can
Nice.
say
Yeah, but yeah, like I've been through years without gaming because I couldn't bring myself to go to the gaming store and put up a flyer because I was so scared of what I was going to get, and also I think being
is
gay,
fair.
Yeah.
being gay, especially like
Yep.
in the past, it was a very terrifying idea that like, what if I find some gamers, and it's this bunch of guys who are incredibly homophobic, and I have to choose between being open or
being who you are,
gamer.
be comfortable being who.
And maybe even risk getting beat up.
It's true.
Oh
it
my
is
God.
actually a legitimate thing that I had to fear for a long time.
Right.
And like, I'm very fortunate now. I live in LA, and I don't have to worry about that most of the time. But especially like in Oklahoma, in Ohio, this was a legitimate fear.
I'm not arguing with you. You're a unicorn, to be fair.
It's true.
Here's this a
not
young
really.
male gamer who
Yeah.
really wants to meet like-minded people. Really, just want a game.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to be judged. And we like to say it's an inclusive group, but there's a lot of judging.
I
people.
was just going to say,
Go ahead.
you go. No, you go.
We were not an inclusive group
No.
in the 1970s and 80s.
Fair enough.
And then
At all.
I was going to say it's interesting to me that because I think there are a lot of, I call myself an introvert, or a shyer person who can fake being not shy.
Yes,
Right.
Same.
And I think there are tons of us in tabletop
Yeah.
because I think there are a lot of people who want to explore, either playing a game in a fantasy world, being a Mary Jane superhero character, or explore other things in games that are we're not necessarily like, I don't know, like we're not as bold and brazen as it may seem like we are. So you need that kind of conversation. Especially Adam and I are talking about a game that we hopefully will get to play in together.
I was going to bring this up too. Yeah.
Yeah, and that in that particular game,
Monster Hearts?
Yes, Monster
yes.
Hearts.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I know.
Very
Super excited.
Really.
But that it is important to have trust is the most important word with the people that you have at the table, because you do explore relationships and you interact in character in ways that maybe all games do not. And this is not about sex moves necessarily.
Right.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think with Monster Hearts specifically, trust is a big part of this.
Absolutely.
And that social contract actually needs to be really, really clear,
Yep.
because I'm not a big fan of Monster Hearts because of the territory it treads.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's scary territory even for people pre-warned and pre-armed, because it's treading on sexual mores. It's treading on prepubescent. It's treading in high school. It's treading on bully. It brings up an entire well of possible bad memories and even possible.
Well, like Adam and I
Go
were
ahead,
saying,
go ahead.
it just like to finish kind of your thought. It is a system that does a fantastic job of emulating, I think, what it's like to be that age and be this other person inside your skin.
Yeah.
That you want to necessarily show everyone else that you are.
Yeah.
Because it's this powerful time in your life when you want to be like everyone else and you want to be accepted, but we're not like everybody else. We're like us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
not
really,
to,
no one is like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
right, yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody's special dash. That just means nobody is.
I know, very special episode of Happy Jack's
Right,
RPG podcast.
But this is, and I don't want to get too sidetracked on turn this into Monster Hearts talk, because I've done that podcast already. So I can go on and on about this amazing game. But one of the things that I love about Monster Hearts is that it's very clear, like, you have complete control over what your character does. You have zero control over what your character feels.
Yep.
And that's a very scary thing for a lot of players. And I think
The feels? I don't know what
feels,
you're talking about.
exactly,
No,
yeah.
no.
And
Here,
I
just
think,
give me more of this, I'll be
woo,
fine.
more yeah. Let's drink them feelings away. Ah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think, as players and gamers, because so many of us are introverted, or we're bullied, or we're ostracized, we tend to be worried about revealing our true selves.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that we love about gaming, is that we
Yep.
can just be whoever we want to be and nobody questions it.
Right.
But I think this gets to what allows us to be our true selves as gamers, and let that part shine through, and let us play those things that we might otherwise avoid because we are afraid of being judged. And I like that idea. And sorry, if I can add one more thing real quick.
No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I said earlier I'd never done a game where I was part of an explicit social contract, but I realize I have. And it's when I played a game of Monster Hearts. I found some people through the Google Plus community, and a guy was going to run a video chat game, and is like, I need to play this game some more. So I got involved in this game, and he did a Google Doc, and we could anonymously put in. There was a section to put in like what are topics that you want to gloss over. What are topics that you need to like fade to black?
Oh, the line of veils.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what are topics that you want
Nice.
to avoid and completely, and like just you refuse to let them come up. You don't want
Right.
anybody to bring them up. So in a way, it was kind of like these are the topics or actions acceptable. These are my these are my trigger words, etc.,
Yeah.
or my trigger situations. So that was, and I remember thinking at the time, this is a really great way to play, especially for these strangers that I'm going to start playing with.
Right.
You know.
And that's, again, that
Yeah.
brings up trust, and that also brings up the social contract, and that's when it's important. When you're playing with people you have never met, or maybe met once, you know.
It blows my mind that people are on their best behavior when they're around strangers.
Right.
Well, but yeah, but
It really does blow my mind.
Because I was raised with manners.
Right. But it's not even that. Somebody who shows up who looks different, sounds different, dresses different than you expected can really throw you if you're in the middle of the Midwest.
Yeah.
And if you all of a sudden there's a person in front of you who isn't who you thought they were.
Yeah.
And now you're fumbling trying to figure out how do I deal with this,
Right.
as opposed to maybe setting out some of this stuff ahead of time, and everybody and then I'm not judging. I'm just saying that I can see in places that this is an interesting, or it needs to happen more often. Or
I think
Are
it
you
should.
being geographicist?
no,
No,
I'm trying to be careful about.
I think it should happen more often, even with people you know.
I'll tell you.
Okay, well
it
said.
inspires
Well said.
interesting conversation.
Yes.
And things you might not expect.
To
Yeah.
kind of defend the modern gamer community a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think the sort of
Stereotype?
no. Well, yeah. I maybe your conception of the way gamers are. I think it really has changed a lot in the last few years, especially when we went to Gen Con, and that's in Indianapolis,
Yeah.
in Indiana. That's a
Home of my
American
kids.
Rust Belt, right?
Sorry. Oh yeah, we don't talk about politics. I just mentioned a name.
But when they ran the games on demand,
Yeah.
that's the most inclusive thing I've ever seen. I mean, they had name tags depending on what pronouns you preferred. If you
that's
could
cool.
put on
All
of the
absolutely.
games had ground rules. Many tables had X cards. I mean, they're all about making sure that everyone who was there felt absolutely comfortable and at home, which I thought was freaking awesome.
It is.
And that's in the fucking Midwest.
Yeah.
That's
I
not in
give
progressive California
huge-
or New York or something. That's
Yeah.
in Indiana.
And I give huge props to, and I'm not as familiar with this as a background, and I haven't been gaming as long as you guys, but I give huge props to games like Apocalypse World and Monster Hearts for that.
That brings
for
those issues
Avery
up.
and Vincent,
does.
because there were other games that were being written at the same time, and there was kind of a zeitgeist of these like indies, small, micro games are now a thing, and like. But I do think that brought a lot of that to the forefront because those are games that began to explore, and it's not just because they were narrative heavy or narrative drove the mechanics versus mechanics driving the
Well, most
chicken
of
and
the
egg,
games-
but
Go
there are
ahead.
just different topics that maybe came to the game table more frequently because of games like that. So
Most of the time when we play, back in the day when we play games, it was escapist fantasy.
Yeah.
Right, and we're basically playing Lord of the Rings or Conan or whatever. We're playing those, but with Monster Hearts, all right, to pull a name out of a hat, you are exploring awkward, uncomfortable territory
Yeah.
for a lot of people. It's more than just playing Conan. You can't play Conan in Monster Hearts. If you do, Conan's got issues,
Yes.
yeah,
and
well,
that's
Conan does.
and that's a whole different kind of role playing than when we started role playing.
Yeah.
It's not. You're still role playing, but it's not the escapist fantasy thing anymore. Now you're exploring the motivations of your character and maybe even yourself.
Yeah.
it's a whole different game, and there's only a handful of those that can really say that. D&D does not make you explore your inner self.
You know what, though?
No.
You can do that in a D&D game.
Yes,
now.
I could.
And
I'd have to
I
break
think-
some rules to do it, but I could.
Not even, because I think there's a lot of, like, look what happened with Kimmy and my character in the Dead Rain game. I mean, how old is that game? Over 20 years old. Dead Rain.
I don't know if it's quite that old. The
no,
system is certainly that old.
The system, yeah. But I mean, you can introduce those kinds of character explorations in any game now, and so that's all the more reason where if it is something that interests me as a player, which it does. If I knew that wasn't really something that the GM or the table cared to do, and we wanted to play more high fantasy, hack and slash.
High fantasy Monster Hearts. Let's see how well that works out.
Every game turns into Monster Hearts at some point.
It's all L. It's all L.
If you do it right.
Yeah.
It's all L.
Yeah, we play a game called Dungeon Hearts because we were playing Dungeon World, but it kept turning into
moves?
Yes.
Yes! I want in on this game.
Yeah.
Please tell me there's a seat at the table.
Oh, I'll have to see if I can get the hack.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
wow.
not kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Because we
I
kept
want
playing
this.
Dungeon World, and we were playing over the course of a weekend, actually at con, and it just kind of kept turning, and it was like, we need to have a Dungeon Hearts game, because this game just keeps turning into...
Has someone made World? Where
World?
Yeah, you play. Everyone plays game designers who are making Dungeon World hacks.
World World. Somebody totally kind of joke named their oh, you know what it was? My friend Rob named his hack Asterisk World because it was just
It was the
Well,
generic.
there's one called. I think it's called Small World.
Simple
and
World, I
Simple
think.
World.
Yeah.
That's it. Simple
Yeah.
World.
Yeah.
Which is basically an apocalypse hack construction kit.
Yes.
Kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Simple World's actually pretty awesome because I actually read over that and I'm like,
And
I get this.
I understand the very basic game mechanics of the game.
It's kind of like
Without having to-
Minecraft
Right?
for gaming.
Slog-
I mean,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
These little Legos.
Yeah, and it is a
awesome.
really elegant system
It's
to
totally
do
awesome.
what it wants to do.
Yeah.
And and so
You find a thing.
yeah, and
do a
part of the
thing.
Yep.
problem is like again with PBTA like it's so infinitely hackable, but the hack has to be complete in a lot of ways. It's like
Yes.
you can play almost anything with it, but every single game has to be completely different in a
Yep.
lot of ways, and like you
Yep.
have to write a whole new book.
Yep.
You
Right.
do.
know?
You
And
do.
Like all the moves and everything, you can't transplant
is-
them
right,
from one
exactly.
to the other.
It
Whereas
is
D&D
not easy to write a good
Every-
book.
So like D&D, you can just go, okay, we're playing in like like
Here's the rule
medieval
book, and
Asian,
then here's the
or we're
3
playing
pages that
fantasy
I've
sci-fi.
added to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's an amazing system, and
Every
Yeah.
Powered by the Apocalypse I've ever played has been radically different from the other ones.
Yes.
It is. Even the basic rule set fluctuates and changes, and they celebrate that. It's a fluid.
right, yeah,
thing.
yeah. Well, and I
You
think
can't even hold it in your hand.
right, yeah. I think in a lot of ways that represents some of the evolution of gaming, and I know a lot of.
You're not wrong.
I know a lot of my hippie gamer friends, and they're like, ugh, trad games. I'm like, I still love trad games.
Me too.
We'll talk about this in a little bit, but like I'm running D&D 5e right now, which I swore to never do again. I'm playing in a World of Darkness game. I just finished a Vampire Dark Ages game a couple of weeks ago. that was
Do you work? Wow, you game all the time,
Trust
dude.
me. I try to fill every waking moment with gaming when
Nice.
So, yeah. Honestly,
I
if
envy your life.
Yeah.
know.
I work 65 hours a week, and then I spend the entire weekend gaming, and then I sleep a little bit in between.
60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk
Yeah.
about this off the air. I
Yes.
don't know what to do.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
astonishing.
It's film industry.
Me too.
Yeah.
I got it.
Oh yeah, both of you.
Yeah. But yeah, I still like both styles. I like here are the rules, stay within the rules, and figure out a way to have fun with it. And I do. I have a great time. Pathfinder, I think, is one of the clunkiest systems I've ever seen, but I still enjoy playing it with the right people.
That's true of any game.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
if you're at the right table,
Yeah.
and you've got good players, you got a good GM specifically a GM will stay out of players' way.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
You can have a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
fantastic.
agree.
And you can play the crappiest system on the planet and still have fun.
Right, yeah, it's true.
You can play a clunky system, and if the GM is good, I mean, again, GURPS, people say it's clunky, but you have a good GM. Sorry.
GURPS is not clunky.
I've played with you, and I played with the Mook, and you guys make that game system seem effortless. It's wonderful.
See, now I want to play with somebody who makes GURPS seem effortless.
Right.
because my
Stew or move.
my GURPS experience was terrible.
See that?
But
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
I hear that
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was reading this email, and I'm like, oh my god, like, you were struggling with the complications of 5e, but you like GURPS? Like, oh, Jesus. Like,
Well,
yeah,
we'll have to introduce you to the Mook. And
Yeah.
the
GURPS
Mook will run
is-
you their game.
yeah.
GURPS's complication is front-loaded in character creation.
Uh-huh.
Once you have your character sheet, it's a very simple system.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
You have your skills. You want to take 3d6 and roll underneath them.
Yeah.
There might be some modifiers.
Yeah.
People can go crazy with the minutia of the modifiers. Most GMs that I know don't, but the ones that do, they give you the bad experiences
Yeah.
because they're going to give you that really clunky looking up in rule books or
Oh god, yeah.
for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like I swing. Okay, well, is it an overhanded swing or an underhanded swing,
Yes.
and what are you aiming for? Well, I don't frickin' know. I swing, and they're like, okay, well, roll these 3d6, and then I'm going to roll 3d6 to see if I notice that you're swinging, and then you roll these 3d6 to actually connect, and then I'll roll these 3d6 to see if my armor succeeds.
That
And then
is-
It's not like
That's a little World of Darknessy too.
yeah.
Like Masquerade.
That actually sounds a lot more like Shadowrun to me.
Oh,
Shadowrun's
Yeah,
yes.
got a
but
lot of
original,
rules.
Original World of Darkness, very complicated.
No,
like
'cause
that.
when
It's
we
like,
first
wait,
tried
but
GURPS, that's how we
I
played
did the
GURPS.
thing,
Yeah.
and I did the
Yeah.
Majesty, and
Right,
I did
yeah,
the...
yeah,
No,
yeah.
but I rolled
I-
to
right, yeah.
resist your Majesty.
Right, yeah.
and-
The problem I found
There
with
are,
GURPS,
there are 3 roles in an attack in GURPS.
Although that's
Okay.
There's an attack roll, there's an active defense, or possibly a passive defense roll.
yeah.
If you're using, depending what
so
edition you're using.
3.5.
Well, it's going to be
3 with
there's
caveats.
an attack roll, a defense roll, and a damage roll.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is.
Yeah.
If there's more than that, someone's doing
The
something.
problem with GURPS, and maybe even here to an extent, is that there are so many choices. You get analysis paralysis.
That's
Yes.
the problem is character creation. Character creation, you have to walk. It's just like Hero. You have to walk in with a real firm idea of the character you want to make.
Fair enough.
And then you use the rules to make the character you're trying to make, or get as close as you can.
But after that, the GM needs to make sure that they're not you throwing every rule that's available at you. Because I had that. That's what
Yeah.
he's saying. Is the GM threw every rule that was in the book at
you just
me
make the
for
most.
every choice.
You just use the most important ones.
But
Yeah,
that's
check
not
out.
said
You're
in
in
the
a very,
book,
very
so
dark room.
people
Okay,
didn't know
Yeah.
to do that.
And I think people forget this about D&D a lot as well. But even D&D, since the very beginning, has been very explicit. If a rule keeps you from having fun,
Yeah.
ignore it. The point is to have
Yeah.
fun. And and I think
That's kind of true about life.
yeah, and and like right, exactly, completely agree.
The prevailing speed laws all the time.
Right?
Unless you might get caught.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, Jason and I, Jason Mills, we have talked about this multiple times. That we've talked about how for 4th edition D&D, for all its faults, it really got bagged on because people are like, "Oh, you can't RP in it." It's like I can RP in Monopoly.
Exactly.
Thank
You know,
you.
like, yeah.
Yep.
We've actually said that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's like
can.
you can RP in any system.
I'm
Yep.
not basically
It's-
banker.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? I would love to get a bunch of like hardcore role players to come in and play a game of diplomacy.
Oh,
Challenge
accepted.
Challenge accepted. Yeah.
I would love to
I've
do
never
that.
played the game, but I'm a political
Well,
wonk
the
nerd,
problem is
so
we may not be
please,
all
dear
be
God.
friends when we leave.
No, as long as everyone knows the dick move when you're playing diplomacy.
Can we have a social contract before we play?
Let me just say the dick move when you're bringing someone new into diplomacy is to not let them know that the whole point of the game is to backstab the other players.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good to know. Okay.
Because
That would be enough.
you have a switch.
I don't. Not on this one.
Oh, you don't. Oh, don't worry about it.
don't?
That's fine. You're good. Yeah. Basically,
listening anyway.
the game itself. There's 7 players. No one is strong enough to win the game because everyone has a certain number of units. You have like 3 units. Russia has 4 because they have a lot of territory.
Yeah.
But and basically, you're trying to take over more than half the board.
Okay.
You can't do it alone. You can't attack anyone next to you and hope to beat them unless you have an alliance with someone else, because there's no dice, there's no randomizer. It's
okay.
all by numbers. So if I have 2 units and you have 1 unit, I'm going to attack with this unit and support with this unit. That's 2 against 1. I take it.
Yeah.
If it's 1 against 1, it's a stalemate. It stays a stalemate, just like World War I, right?
Right,
I mean,
yes.
all these lines get drawn and trenches get dug, that sort of thing. So you have to make alliances with other countries. So there's a diplomacy phase in every turn of the game. You start the game. Everyone looks at the map, knows where their things are, and they actually give you little, like, small versions of the game board.
Oh, cool.
So you can run away with another player and say, okay, here's what I suggest we do. I'll go here, and I'll help you here, and you help me here, and then, right? And then, so
It's like
people,
Vampire.
People,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
it
right.
is.
I know.
Except it's been around a lot longer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then
That's
you
awesome.
basically what you try to do is build an alliance, steamroll over whatever your neighboring country is to the 2 of you, and then try to gauge exactly when you're going to backstab your ally, because at some point you're going to need to.
Right. You have to,
Although-
or you can't win.
And that's an integral part of the game is to because everyone has to write their orders in secret.
Okay.
No one else can write your orders for you, and no one can see your orders. At least that's the way we always play.
Yeah.
So when it's time to, everyone writes the orders for their units. They all write them down and they fold them up and throw them in a box. And then all of the orders are read aloud, and that's when you find out whether you've been backstabbed or not, or that's when all those things are revealed. And then you resolve everything. But there's no randomizer in the game. It's all a game of numbers.
Oh.
There's no randomizers. There's no
right.
randomizers.
I would role play the hell out of
Yeah.
it.
So, we used to. I used to. There was a zine. Actually, there was dozens of zines of people who were playing play-by-mail diplomacy games.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, cool.
And so what you would do is that someone organized it. They would get a bunch of people, and they'd say, "Okay, we're going to do a turn every 2 months." So here's all the mailing addresses of all the other players. It's like, let's say I'm playing Turkey, so I'm going to write a letter to the guy who's playing Austria-Hungary and the guy who's playing Russia, and see if I can get an alliance with either of them, because if I get an alliance with one of them, the other guy's gone, right? And then it was so much fun. And then you'd mail in your, this is a long time ago, by the way.
Yeah.
This is in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then-
I remember the days before email.
Right.
Yes.
and then
We know it's a long time ago. There's still a functional mail system.
right.
Oh, Lord.
And then you would send in your orders, and then the person running the zine would go through the orders and then update a map. I don't know how they made the maps back then, because most of us didn't have computers.
Yeah.
And then they would publish the next zine. It would come out. You would see the results of the orders, and then you would start writing letters again. It was so much fun. It was
cool.
so much fun.
And yet you claim you're bad at tactics and strategy.
I am bad at tactics. I only won 1 game.
But that's actually really good. That's impressive.
I would think, yeah, because you're playing with how many people?
7.
Yeah,
There's
see?
7 countries. It's England, France, Germany,
And
Austria-Hungary, Russia, Italy, and Turkey.
he has
Okay.
them all memorized. And to be fair, you had time to think about your moves.
Well, they had a strategy
No,
guide at
you
one
don't
point.
know. Yeah.
And they actually had named openings. Because like if you played Italy, there was an opening called the Lepanto opening.
That-
And I
Oh, Lepanto. Oh, you moved Lepanto against me. I mean, yes, I
Never
find that...
open with the Lepanto.
I shall respond with El Forense.
That's hard, because I find that it counters Lepanto. Right, that's currently.
That's why the argument phase of Burning Wheel and Mouse Guard stuff interests you. Probably.
yes.
Yeah, because you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
argument phase.
Yeah.
I like argument phase.
Sort
Well,
of like
that's why
diplomacy.
he
There's
was a
argument
journalist.
phases in Warhammer has an argument phase, but it's not actually in the rules.
Warhammer is an argument phase, essentially.
Stu was a journalism major. His whole life really designed around an argument phase.
Yes.
That's really what he lives for.
Do what you love.
Right? Yeah.
We've gone very afield from social
We
media.
have.
No, but it was stimulating conversation.
Sorry,
But,
sorry about that.
This is what I do to people. I don't know if you've known that, but I
You're
create
an agent of
tangents.
chaos.
I am
this-
an agent of chaos.
We do this on our own, but not this bad.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. It's just that I'm so engaging.
Yeah. It's
You're
true.
you're the new shiny.
I'm the
you know,
shiny. Yeah,
we're
I'm
just
the new
gonna
shiny.
follow your
It's
lead.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, David from
Yes.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully that answered your question. It wasn't
Yeah.
really a question. I actually really liked your
We
your
spent at
outline
least
a lot.
The
10% of the
yeah.
time talking about his topic.
No,
Well,
I'm actually going to take it to heart.
I've got a defense
Yeah.
of us, though. His So the question for this email is this, I'm quoting, have you ever used a social contract? And if so, what do you think is most important to cover in said contract? We all answered that mostly no, but we should. And what's important? Exactly what David said.
And then some.
So I think, David, you kind of answered your own question. It's brilliant.
To me, when I think of a social contract, just very briefly, we'll get back to the topic, sorry, is I think more about player sensitivity and things that you want to avoid and stuff like that. I actually, but he brings up stuff that I normally don't think about putting in a social contract, like the tone of the game, and failure and PC death and stuff like that.
Right,
Yep.
That stuff I usually don't bring up.
Yeah.
What, it never occurred to me.
Right.
Right.
No,
But that actually makes a lot of sense. You're setting parameters.
I thought it was a pretty inspiring sort of
Well, that's like
topic.
as I was reading this when I originally put the show notes together, when I do run the Traveler game at the con, I'm going to let the players know. By the way, you guys are going to be working for an NGO, and you're going to be political troublemakers. So that's the kind of character you want to make.
Yeah.
And in fact, had a social contract been made, I think some of the emails that we have coming up, the horror stories might have been avoided.
Yeah, well, because depending on the kind of game, like if you have that session before that, that's good to know before you even make a character, because I don't want to make a character that's out of tone with what you want to play.
Like, I recently was invited to play this 5e campaign, the Tomb of Annihilation, and I can't play very often with this group just because they play
I can tell you how to win that.
Oh, yeah? Interesting. Might take it. No, but
Is that Tomb of Horrors?
No,
Tomb
of Annihilation.
Tomb of Annihilation, yeah. It's a new adventure.
Yep.
Oh, it is, okay.
But it has a meat grinder mode, which is basically like intensifies the death saving throw. And so it's very likely that your character is going to die. And if your character dies, there's no resurrection, because that's
it's hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, it's the premise of the game is that resurrection, death magic has failed. Like, when you die, your soul goes nowhere, basically.
Much like life.
Yeah, much like And thanks.
This is why I want to play role-playing games, because my life is so finite.
I want to play the grind. Go to work every day.
Yes.
Awesome.
But yeah, the GM told us at the beginning, like, are you guys okay with this? And you okay with making characters that die? And we're like, oh, great, okay. So you can make all of those characters that you're always like, oh, that'll be fun, but I don't know if I'd want to play it for more than like 2 levels.
I want to make a halfling barbarian.
Right, exactly, yeah. We have like a dwarven like melee wizard.
So really, it's a game for grognards.
It's basically.
You basically min-max your characters and see if they survive, and then
or not min-max them.
Or no,
They probably have just as good of a
do
chance.
that concept that you always wanted to do, but you're like, well, this will never work.
If you make a character that runs away the whole time, all the rest of the party dies, and then he picks up their stuff and leaves.
Eventually you'll succeed.
No, this reminded me of something. You guys have read Ready Player One?
No, but my kid did.
Okay.
So therefore I have.
Okay, all right.
By process of osmosis.
So in the movie, do you think they're going to put Tomb of Horrors in it?
I think they probably will, because D&D has kind of come back. But
I would love to see.
You work in the film industry. I work in the film industry. Who owns the rights?
Exactly.
No, well, here's
it's Hasbro.
Okay, that's the problem. That's the problem with Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much it's going to cost in licensing to do all that stuff?
Yeah, I feel sorry for whoever had like the clearances job on that show.
That's absolutely
that's
absolutely what's going to dictate it.
Yeah, they probably had a clearances department as big as the graphic effects.
I'll bet you the clearances department did their job before anyone started writing
I guarantee
a
you
screenplay.
they did.
I'm sure.
I guarantee you.
Because it's like who's going to work with us and who isn't. That's going to determine.
I guarantee you
what we're
when the
keep.
screenplay was being written, there were all these like paragraphs. Like, if not this, then this. If not this, then this. If not this, then this. Because in this modern world, people want to get paid for their copyrights, as well they should.
Right.
We have intellectual properties as well, and that is a. I mean, Roger Rabbit, which came out 25 years ago, had enough of a problem dealing with all of this stuff and making sure that Bugs had as much screen time as Mickey, had as much screen time as Dobie. I mean, it got down to that. It really got down to that. They were fighting over that, and not in a petty way, just to make sure that the characters were represented well.
Right.
No, and they were. And you watch Roger Rabbit, and Mickey's represented very well, and Bugs is represented very well, and so is Daffy, and it's great, and it's fun. But the studios are very concerned about keeping control of their copyrights.
And making sure
Ready
their
Player
IP
One
isn't denigrated,
is Roger Rabbit on steroids.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's every reference that ever happened from the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
Like every one of them.
every geek
Everything.
culture reference.
Yeah, every
Now-
geek culture reference.
Who's it through? Is it through Disney?
No, Spielberg is doing it. I don't know what studio.
Because Disney owns a lot of those references.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Anyway,
they don't own Zork.
Anyway, that's the reality of how
I
that
want to
movie's
see
gonna
Zork
shake out.
happen too. I want to see the Zork world.
Yeah.
I think I used to have an app that was.
I
know.
showed my kids. I was speaking of Johnny Sacco and his giant robot.
Yeah.
And I showed Zachary. I'm like, this is kind of what we had for anime in the 70s. And I showed him the video of it, and he's like,
That sucks.
"Oh my God, those
Daddy, you
the
heard?
effects are terrible."
Right? Yeah.
Like, yeah, they were, but we thought they were awesome.
They were
right?
charming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
They are
even.
now.
I don't,
Yeah.
that
You
was
don't
just-
remember-
it went right by me. I never even noticed.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to read my first gaming experience
Okay.
from our.
Oh, you know what? Before you do that,
Oh, yeah?
let me do this other announcement
Okay.
because this is from 1D Forecast. Mm-hmm. It's 1D Forecon. 1D Forecon returns to the North Shenandoah Valley. What's this? How's the song go?
Nope, that's Red River Valley. I don't know that
I
one.
can't remember.
I know Red
We
River
failed.
Valley on the top of my head.
West Coast, sorry.
And we call ourselves folk singers. Yeah.
No.
It's a West Coast thing. That's an East Coast song. That's East Coast.
Wow.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should know it.
I sang it
Oh,
in high
it
school.
exploded like it off.
If Tim were here,
Yeah. It was on Mr. Rogers' head. and it popped off.
if Tim Graffam were here, he'd know it.
Yeah, I
See
don't
the
know.
lyrics, maybe I'll remember.
Yeah.
All right, so
My
was
head
that
keeps
it?
going.
No.
Dun,
Go ahead.
dun, 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 but that's Red River Valley.
That's
Dun,
no.
dun,
That's
dun,
that's
dun,
not the
dun.
right thing. That's
Nope.
not the right thing.
It's different.
Oh, hold on a second.
He's scrolling. You Shenandoah? Is that, he's looking it up.
I've been listening to a lot of
Looking up
Dr.
the
Horribles this week.
Oh,
I hadn't
yeah.
listened for a long time, and I played my most played list, and it kept coming up, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. How
Oh,
much I
Shenandoah,
like
I
this.
long to hear you. Look away, rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, how long to hear you. Look away.
There's an ad. Why is there an ad too?
Oh my God.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting for Shenandoah.
Look away.
And it won't let me skip the ad. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Okay.
It's almost done.
I don't know the song.
I think Adam has it. He's
This
in a
is it
room
right
full
here.
of folk singers, and he's the only one that remembers the tune.
Is that monks chanting?
I
That's
hope this
it.
is worth it because I'm.
Rolling river.
There you go.
Oh, Shenandoah,
better.
I long to hear you.
So I have.
Look away, we're bound away.
Don't worry, there's no licensing issue.
Across the wide Missouri.
So Marcus
Nice.
says
High school chorus. I still got some.
What part do you
Yeah,
sing?
thanks.
What part do you
I sing tenor. Yeah, I
Definitely
smoked
tenor.
for 17 years. I kind of lost a lot of the tenor
Nice.
notes, but
you're
now
a
I'm a
bass.
Barry.
If
yeah.
you're a bass,
If you're a bass, you'd be.
Oh no, I cannot. I can't do bass. I can do Barry, but not bass.
Oh, there's somebody here for you, Stu.
It sounds like a child.
It is.
It's a puppy.
So while you do it, child, I'm going to attempt to read.
Let me finish. Let me
Okay.
finish.
Oh, all right.
yeah,
Oh, there's
1D
more.
Forecon.
Okay,
announcement.
1D4Con returns to the northern Shenandoah Valley region for a 6th year to provide lots of gaming fun.
Nice.
Happening April 13th through 15th, 2018.
Nice.
April 13th through 15th, 2018.
Nice.
We will be at the Holiday Inn in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Mountain Mama. No, that's copyrighted. Sorry. Which means
And that's rough.
there is a lot of space for tabletop RPGs, LARPs, board games, and miniatures games. D&D Adventures League and Pathfinder Society are both planning to have a huge presence again this year. But we also have plenty of other traditional and indie RPGs for you to enjoy. I'm going to skip ahead here. If you are interested in going to this convention and you are in the northern Shenandoah Valley region of West Virginia, wherever that might be,
Across that mighty river.
go to 1d4con.com. That's 1d4con.com. gameconventions.com. By the way, if anyone is running game conventions, we love game conventions because it brings us together. You will never have to pay for advertising if you want us to plug your game convention.
And here's the thing: if you're complaining about not being able to find a group, go to the
I
con.
met so many great role players in the 80s and 90s
and
by
bad
going
role
to a
players.
game
But
convention and
you
bad
met
ones too.
role players.
May I plug a con then?
Oh,
They're
go
New Mexicon, which I have wanted to go to for at least a couple of years now. I can't remember. I think they're in their 4th year. They just launched a Kickstarter. They are in New Mexico. Go figure, New Mexicon. So you can find it on Kickstarter. It is April, I believe it is 20th, 21st, 22nd. But I have friends who have gone, and it just sounds like an amazing con.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think if there's a
Magpie
game con,
Games is there heavily too.
if there's a game con in
Nice.
your hood,
Yes,
Yeah.
Magpie.
if there's a game con in your hood or even close, go.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. I mean, there's people putting on these cons, not for profit, mind you,
Yeah.
to celebrate gaming. Go to these cons. You can meet people. If nothing else, go there, buy some dice, pick up a gaming book,
Right.
and then leave.
Yeah.
But you will be surprised. You will be surrounded by your people.
Yeah.
You will meet people. You will
Yeah.
see games. You'll be exposed to stuff, and you're like, I feel so much at home here. And
Yeah.
go.
And
You
you
have nothing to
gotta-
lose.
And I see this a lot. A lot of people in gaming, we're introverts, we're outcasts, we're weirdos, we're scared of everybody, including our
Yeah.
own shadow.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, sorry, yeah, good. You have to remember, everybody else at the con is also terrified of you, just like you're terrified of them.
It's true.
So just go. You'll find that one person
Except for the Venn diagram.
Exactly.
There it is.
The Venn diagram.
With
Yeah.
the dick and
The
douche.
tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the trick that I suggest. You play in as many pickup games as you can, and after each one, take that one person that you actually like felt some connection with and thought was kind of cool,
Yeah.
and just pull them aside and say, "Hey, let me get your contact info. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll put a game together."
Yeah.
And then you go to another
So you're
table.
poaching players
Yeah,
from all
you're,
the other-
you're poaching like the top player, from each table that you play at. And then you put together your own group of your cream of the crop.
Super group.
Super group.
That's exactly what we did, but Bill
Yeah.
and I did in the late 80s.
Really?
Because
Cool.
Bill and I were roommates. We lived in Long Beach, and we used to go to the game convention. I don't remember. It was up in LAX. It was the same Strategicon conventions.
I wasn't here back then.
But, I mean, I don't remember which one it was. But we used to go there, and mostly we'd go and play poker. Because there was a floating poker game that happened in several rooms.
And you guys are broke and needed more money. So what better way to make money than play poker?
Well, but at one point we decided to run this thing called Uncle Melvin's Impossible GURPS Adventure. And we made a bunch of pre-generated characters. Pick any character you want. And it was literally this giant contraption of rooms with all of these levers that move rooms against each other. And as soon as you touch the doorknob, we would roll a percentile dice. And when you could hear like gears whirring and stuff, and it's moving a room to the next place.
That's such a. Why don't you run this
Right.
again?
And you open it, and then you have an encounter.
You were peeing and just remembered this, didn't you? Peeing will do that for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you would have the room, and it would be it could
Awesome.
be anything. It was basically a dungeon crawl
Sure.
from room to room that was absolutely random.
Is that like a vagabond-ish?
Kind
Yes.
of
Sort
a
of.
little
Yeah.
bit like Tales from the Floating Bag.
What was that?
Yeah.
That horror. Was it called The Cube? That horror movie where they're in this like square room, and then like they get to the next one, and
Oh.
somebody dies getting to it, and then like every room is like trying to kill them in a different way.
That's
the
kind-
Cube. Or
I think.
Well, there was Saw, and
Yeah.
then there was what was the
That
one with the
sounds
house?
awesome,
The not the cell. There was a house that was all controlled. It was
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
weed thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But we met. We ran a
Cabin
tournament.
in the Woods.
yes.
We ran a tournament. We ran 2 separate games, and then we took the best players from those 2 games and ran a second round.
Yeah.
And all of the players in that second round, we exchanged phone numbers with all of them.
Yeah.
And they all ended up
Nice.
becoming our gaming group.
There you go.
Hey, it's
Yes.
like
It was
slow,
fantastic.
slow
Right.
speed dating for
Yeah.
gamers.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
yes.
Dating.
Except your speed
Yeah.
date is 4 hours long
Yeah.
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 instead of 5 minutes.
It's only my
It's 4
romantic
hours of
life would work
foreplay.
that way. No.
It's just slow. You're trying to speed it up.
Right,
It's just slow.
you just got to speed it up a little bit.
All right, so
Get 4 guys together and take the top 2 from.
I think maybe the
many
analogy
things.
doesn't quite work well. Although that
Oh,
sounds
it
like really
works.
awesome.
You could organize some sort of tournament.
Right.
Yes. Top 2, bottom 2. All the assorted.
Versatile too.
Yes.
And at the end of it, you can take the numbers of the 2 that you really liked.
Right. Yeah.
Call
yeah.
them later.
Call them later.
Exactly.
You can all have, okay. The analogy does break down at some point.
No, it does perfectly. I'm telling you,
I
it
can
works perfectly.
explore that one and tell you where it stops.
Yeah.
No.
Kind of doesn't stop.
I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm going to do Marcus from Brazil.
All right,
And I'm
Marcus
going to
from
read his
Brazil.
email as well. Hello, douchebags clan. I'm Marcus from Brazil, and I want to tell you my
Nicely done.
first gaming experience. My only experience with role-playing games was watching Happy Jacks games. After watching Mode of Sin, I was very excited and tried to find people to play with. I found a GM in a group for Vampire the Masquerade on Facebook. He
Excellent.
organized a group for an online game. I was afraid that I couldn't play because once a week before playing, 2 dudes were banned. One because he just disappeared, and another for being a rules lawyer. Then a boyfriend of a member.
That's actually a good sign.
Well, yeah, actually, no.
Unless you like rules.
Yeah. First thing we do is drown all the rules lawyers.
Oh, that's a T-shirt.
Oh, it is.
It's totally a T-shirt.
I
That's
need
a
that
really good
T-shirt.
The
T-shirt.
first thing we do
Yeah.
is drown all the rules
Shakespeare
lawyers.
quote.
Why have we
drown
not?
rather than kill?
Yeah.
You know what?
my
High
God.
five to you,
Yeah.
Adam.
Yes.
And don't let me hang
Yeah.
it. Don't let me hang it.
Oh,
Don't
sorry.
let me.
Yes.
Thank you. That.
As long as you make me one too. If you put
Absolutely.
that on
Oh,
a T-shirt,
yeah.
make one for me.
That
Yeah.
Are you
The
guys
first thing we
sample
do-
it up?
Myself.
Yeah.
Drown all the rules.
God,
lawyers.
how did you come?
I don't know.
How did we not come up with that until you
He's
showed?
magic.
It's
We already said.
astonishing.
You might have been saying it
All right.
politely.
Right? Yeah.
I felt it.
One because he
sitting here.
disappeared, and another for
Yeah.
because of being a rules lawyer, and then a boyfriend of the member who was invited, which delayed the first game in more than once a week. Finally, the game day arrived, and surprise, more problems. 10 minutes before playing, all of a sudden, the boyfriend decided to abandon the game, giving us a stupid excuse. I don't have time to play. Good game for all of you. Obviously, that annoyed us all, especially the GM. Now, it's time to play. The GM has problems with audio. After a good time, he figured out the problem was his earphone, and we started. We're playing in New York, year 1998. My character is a hacker and a Malkavian who thinks he's an Nosferatu. You know, like you do when you're a Malkavian.
Yep. Yep.
He has an appearance 0. Knowledge about sewers and friendship with Nosferatu clan. I won't tell you all the story, but let me tell you, it was awesome!
Yay!
I can say that I love role-playing games. People say that it's hard to play a Malkavian, especially for the first time gaming. Vampire the Masquerade, well, imagine my case. First time playing a role-playing game. After reading the Malkavian clan book, I realized that is not a Herculean task.
True.
First of all, I'm not the clown at the table or a psychopath. Sirius, I'm guessing that's the name of his character.
Yes,
Sirius
yeah.
is a
Spelled like
serious
Sirius
man.
Black
Yeah.
or Sirius the
Yep.
Star.
Right.
Yeah.
Sirius is a serious man. He's named well.
Yes.
Who firmly believes in his ideas. If one day someone tries to convince you that you are not a Nosferatu, that person would sound crazy to him.
And
Second.
let me just,
Yep.
can I
Yes.
just jump in here and say,
Yes.
that is the key to
Right?
playing a good Malkavian. You're not crazy. Everybody
Everyone
else
else
is
Yeah.
crazy.
No, I love that.
Really?
This is not only
Yeah.
a first-time vampire player. This is a first-time player, and he's totally
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
no, this is not how you play that.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought
just,
that was
no,
awesome.
I'm
This
gonna
isn't hard.
Do it right. Like, how,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Well,
that's really awesome.
That's no fish milk.
And Malkavians are kind of tortured because they're seeing things
Uh-huh.
in the future that
Right.
may or may not come to pass. So people think they're having delusions.
May not even be there, yeah.
Right, yeah. Sorry.
A firm reason I'd say, and one day someone tries to convince me you're not a Nosferatu. It sounds crazy to him. Second, I won't interpret all the time, the Madness Network. And that's something that Malkavians have, which is this sort of whisper network. There's always
Yes.
people talking to you. So
Yeah.
sometimes he receives some messages, and being the only Nosferatu who heard this, he'll imagine there are voices from the dead.
So great.
Yeah.
Now, I want to thank the group for the animated playing. Thanks to Tim, Scully, and Calvin are my inspirations for the Nosferatu.
Yay.
Thanks, Kimmy. Adrian is so Ventru, like Stork always said. Thanks, Sam. Riley is wonderful, has all the charm of the Toreadors.
Toreador's the best.
Thanks, Jesse, Esmeralda, and Calvin. Or thanks, Jesse, Esmeralda, and Calvin forever.
That's right. Yeah.
It's carved in a tree somewhere, right? Thanks, Stork, for all Gangrel things. Thanks, Mac. Asa is my favorite character. Many times she made me laugh out loud. For the end, I drink for motive.
You
sin.
skipped the thanks to me. Come on.
Most important lines.
That's all right. Let's go ahead and skip it.
All right. Okay. So for last, a drink. Okay. All right. Thanks, Stu, for being an amazing GM.
Amazing.
I'm hoping to be a GM like you someday.
Nice.
For last, a drink to Motosin. Great job, guys. P.S. Sorry for my grammatical errors.
That was awesome.
And Stu, I laud.
Yep.
I laud you. Here's the thing I know. It always starts at the top, and it happens with work. It happens with people you hang out with. It starts at the top, and you set the tone, and we just fall into it. That game was great because you made it great. Because you listened, you were adaptive.
I stayed out of the way.
Did stand out of the way, but you also set up a really good story, and it starts at the top. I think most crappy games and most crappy work situations start because the boss is a dick and the boss isn't fun, and that's kind of the GM is you're the boss. It starts at the top.
And if you want to see somebody vampire all over the place, you should watch the last episode of.
I totally thought that's what Jim was going to do.
No,
and
and the funny thing is, because I know we're not metagamers, like that's kind of why she did that, because how else to know where your alliances are? Yeah. So it's like we've got two people that are like playing against the middle sort of thing. Yeah. But Stu did an awesome job.
Nice.
Well, I want to play a political. My Gangrel is oddball in every way. He's gregarious. He likes to be around other people.
His name is even gregarious.
Yep.
Gregor. Yeah.
Oh, great. Nice.
And he's also political, but not good at it.
Yeah.
That was
as a Gangrel.
That was my.
But I made a fantastic roll.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you did fantastic. That was my werewolf character that Mac made for me. But I was like, yeah, everyone thinks she's kind of obnoxious, like just says whatever she wants, but it's because that's how she can disarm them, so that she can, get the info, because no one will think that it's just like she's brash and whatever. But yeah, no, Stu is awesome.
So Stu, you inspired this guy to roll.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And that's
And
kind of what this.
sounds like
I want to hear a
wonderful.
story about his first GMing experience.
And he wants to.
You should.
That's the proof of the pudding, right?
Well, and I think the eternal problem for almost all gamers is we got to find a GM because I don't want to do it. Well, I don't want to do it, and I don't want to do
That's
it.
That's exactly why Stu started this podcast.
Yeah. It's just.
Well, I like GMing.
Yeah, but there's a dearth of them. There's a dearth of them. Nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, I always liked GMing when I had a specific story to tell. But as soon as that story was over, I'm like, I'm done because it's way too much work otherwise. But like one of the reasons I run PBTA and like I have as much fun being a GM for PBTA games as I do being a PC, because and I've stopped saying being a GM and being a player.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like put it into my language. You're still playing when you're a GM.
Sure.
You know, but when I'm playing as the GM versus when I'm playing as a PC. The PBTA games allow me to still be surprised and excited, and I don't have to do all the homework.
I liked that whole Apocalypse World MC thing.
Yes,
the Master of Ceremonies.
Yeah,
like it just seemed more in tune with what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like doing the homework. I like prepping games.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Now, it's nice to get to the point, especially with the vampire game, probably 10, 15 sessions in, where my prep is, here's some things that can happen if there's a lull.
Oh,
And that's it. because the players at that point, the players are formulating their own plans. They know what the action items are, the things they need to take care of. They have to determine what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So I'm in a very reactive position. So all I needed to come up with, in what I would call the mid game of an RPG, is stuff to
Wait
keep
a minute.
things going. Yeah.
You've just opened up a whole box here, right? I've never heard you talk about before, which is the pre-game,
You haven't
mid-game,
listened to
end-game?
the GM briefings that
Oh,
are
well,
available to our Patreon
I'm not invited.
subscribers.
I haven't been invited. All right, carry on.
That's my dogs. Hi, dogs.
You've often talked, though, about that being your favorite part of the game.
It is.
Which is probably why not too soon after, once the sessions start, you're already percolating ideas for new games. So it's not that you're bored with the table experience, it's just that you are...
Unless it's D&D.
Yeah.
But like the vampire game, I love playing the vampire
You're
game.
inspired by...
But I wanted to run L5R, and there's no way I could prep both a vampire
Yep.
game and an L5R game full time. So that's why we closed the vampire game. But the prep for the vampire game got to the point where it was very...
That's
it was
awesome.
very little stuff to do. I mean, it was like, come up with 3 or 4 things. And basically, I had a list of, here's all of the...
Bullet points.
No, the dangling plot threads
Dangling plot thread.
that no one's dealing with.
Yeah.
I can just pick 1 or 2 or 3 of them, and I just write a couple of notes. I mean, like 2 or 3 paragraphs was all my prep for the last
That's awesome.
15 sessions of the vampire
Oh,
game.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the L5R. I mean, right now there's a lot of prep going into it because I'm creating
Setting up.
an entire cast of NPCs because Vampire as well, but and L5R, your NPCs are 90% of your prep.
Yeah.
Because in both games, it's the interactions with people from other clans or from higher or lower stations and things in L5R that really create the arena in which the world game the game happens. You know what I'm saying? That, I mean, your cast is your stage in that game.
Yeah.
The world building is a lot of fun in games like Vampire and L5R because the world is so rich and so complicated that carving out that niche is almost more fun than playing the game itself.
It is. I really enjoy doing that stuff, especially in the beginning, because most prep, at least for me, is front-loaded. It's like, I'm going to do a huge amount of prep before the first couple sessions.
That's fun.
And then it's going to kind of slow down as the game goes on. And then, like, the next session of the L5R game, I know what...
Which is tomorrow, by the way.
Which is Sunday.
Day after tomorrow.
Right. I mean, I know what's going on in the world, and I really can't prep anything besides that because I don't know what the player's going to do.
Because they haven't really...
I threw a
still
wrench
figuring out-
at the end of the last session. I threw a wrench in. Spoilers if you haven't listened to it. Skip ahead a minute. They basically they went to the Asahina, which is their patron family's daimyo, and said, "Look, here's what the Crane Champion has done. Here's the proof that we have of it." They go off to go do something else. They come back. They find out she's been murdered.
Yeah, stuff happens. So plot hook, dangling plot hook. Looks like we
Now,
might
what
actually
they're
take
going to
that
do
one.
about it? Who knows what they're... I mean, well, that's
Yeah.
It's quite possible.
Well,
It looks like we're...
Your job is
Yes.
to deal with the
Right.
Crane Champion.
Yes.
Whether it has anything to do with... I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know what happened, but I'm not worried about what you guys are going to do. That's your job.
Yeah.
You tell me what you're going to do,
Yeah.
and then I'll...
And this really brings...
So the prep at that point becomes
And this brings
much
up the
less.
really interesting point that I was going to bring up, because Adam really touched on it, which is when, first of all, there's 2 sort of career GMs here,
It's, so,
and 2 sort of career players here.
okay, let's come back to that.
All right,
But yes.
put a pin in that.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that the wonderful thing about GMing and maybe the pleasure you
GMing's a
derive. Now, I'm not
wonderful
going to put words in your mouth. Is when it's going well, when you're with a good group, it's a feedback loop.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
It's like being a performer on stage when the
Yeah.
audience loves what you're
It's
doing.
exactly what it is.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
and your players having fun. If they're having fun, you give them more, and it works off each other. And that's when a game is really cooking.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to get that feedback loop going takes some time. It's just figuring out what it is, the buttons to push or whatever. And when it happens, it's like it is the most joy you will ever have.
Yeah.
You're as much a participant in this story as a GM as the players are. And they think of you as the person pulling the strings, but as a GM, you're like, I have no idea what you guys are going to do. I'm not going to let you know this, but this is so much fun. Yeah. And this story gets writ out before you. And it's almost like starting a really bad gas engine. And you're pulling on the thing, and you're figuring, and you're tweaking things, and you're replacing things, and eventually, oh my god, it's going! Oh my god, it's going! I can kick back, and I'll just throw shit out now. Yay!
Right?
But when you get that diesel motor finally churning and kicking over, it is probably the most rewarding experience I think you will ever have.
It is. So the pin that I want to come back to is it is so weird for me to be thought of as a career GM because I have always been a career player. I have run occasionally when the mood hit me, or if I had to. But up until I discovered PBTA, I was like, I am done with GMing. I don't ever want to do it again. I hate it. It's too much work. I'd rather just be a player. But then it was, oddly enough, playing a game of Monster Hearts with one of my gaming groups. We called ourselves the Noble Fiends. And
subtle.
Yeah, I know, right? And so we were playing Monster Hearts, and everybody was like, "We love this game," but the game master was like, "I need to like take a step back for a second." And I'm like, "I can run this. I think I get it. I can run this." And so I decided to take over running that game, and I had so much fun. It's like, oh, this is just as much fun as being a PC. And because I didn't have to do all of that prep, I could just let my imagination flow and let the improvisation come. And so like whenever I'm playing PBTA games, I'm just like, yeah, I'll GM. I don't care. Like I'll GM,
awesome.
I'll be PC, whatever you want.
That's less of the prep part and more of the reactive GM part.
Yes.
So it's almost all mid-game.
Right.
Basically.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. You don't have to do that pre-game.
If you want to put it in theatrical terms, being a GM these days, especially with a game like that, is less about being a stage manager.
Yeah.
And more about being a writer. It's more of an improv thing where you are writing the show as they're performing it, or at least the show is going on and you're making notes.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really the way that stuff works. Because D&D is basically you're the stage manager and you're throwing complications and calling the cues and the sets drop in and out and then the players react to them. But and in fact, a really good GM gets rid of all of that and they call it in as they need it, and they're as much a participant in the game as the actors are, for lack of a better term.
Right.
It's a brand new world out there, isn't
it? It is. It's changed my gaming world a lot because I now have this system that I feel so comfortable in, and it matches the way I think, both as a player and a GM. So, and and the way I like to tell stories. And
I like that.
I always tell people, like, because I'm now very open about my gaminess.
What? You're gay?
I know, right?
What?
What? I'm a gamer with a Y.
I had no idea.
But like when I realized I'm going to be out of the closet about being a gamer, it was like I actually did.
I have stories about that.
Yeah, I did have to draw on my experience of coming out as gay as well to be like, no, I can tell people that I play role playing games.
You had that to say.
Yeah, I did have to have that.
I work with a construction crew and they just look at me like, "Is there a locker we can shove you in?"
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we're gonna build a locker.
Just
wait a minute.
Right, It just feel weird not like dipping your head in the toilet.
Oh, whirly!
Swirly. Yeah.
But like, I was telling people they sprung a shoot day on us today, and I'm like, no, I have plans, and I'm not going to come in since you told us at 10:30 last night that we were going to start working today.
There's rules. They can't do that. There are.
So they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm doing a podcast, and they're like, oh, that's cool. What are you doing? And I'm like, it's a podcast about role playing games. They're like, oh, Yeah. Although actually, like some of them actually do are. I've discovered more role-playing gamers now that I'm more out of the closet about it. But
it really is. It really is like coming out.
Yeah,
you have to come out to your friends.
it's very much.
I don't think Stork and I knew that we
No!
were both role players
Oh, yeah?
until I had mentioned at a Boggart rehearsal in 2009. I'm gonna buy the 4th edition D&D books. You guys, is anyone interested in playing?
I don't want to say I was butthurt, but you started a podcast about role-playing games, and I said, "Why didn't you invite me?" And you go, and you went, and you looked at me and went, "I didn't think you were interested."
No, you role played. We literally didn't
known
know
each other for like
played
10
role-playing.
years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Longer than 10 years. This happened in 2009. We've
Yeah.
known each other since like 1992.
Oh my God! Wow. That's a world record, I think.
We're guys. We don't talk about.
Right, yeah.
You know,
No,
we don't
feelings.
play Monster Hearts.
Yeah.
Right. So look how I went for the beer.
Yeah.
Awfully close to home.
This might get
I have
sappy.
something to mention to you
Yeah.
later that's on this topic that I was thinking about. But there's also another Kickstarter that I don't know if Sly Flourish, Mike Shea.
Oh, yeah, I know who that is.
Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master Kickstarter with just tons and tons and tons. Really inexpensive Kickstarter to get into. You can just get the PDF if you want to purchase the game at a discount, or I'm sorry, purchase the book at a discount later.
Right.
You can, but this is the kind of stuff like tons of ideas about how to make prep easy or not do
cool.
prep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just like be inspired and improv and that sort of thing.
Your prep should your chart for prep, like this is how much prep and this is time.
Yeah.
Should go like
For
this.
those of you listening at home, there is a downward.
It goes way down.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how it should go.
Pre-game,
Yeah.
way up at the top,
It's half
and then
the
it goes.
bell of
yeah.
the bell curve.
Yes,
Yeah.
half the bell.
Then
Yes.
you're riding the sled down.
It's the back half of the bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those listening at home. Thank you.
Yeah.
Should I read this one?
Yeah.
Jeff?
GM Success and Horror from Jeff.
This one's a long one. You might want to split this up.
Hello, Duchesse.
Yeah,
I wanted to write in and share 2 recent gaming stories from my table. One, a GM success story where a long con on one of the players came to fruition, and a GM horror story for what I refer to as the most millennial game I have ever seen. We're going to make fun of millennials. Okay.
Sorry.
What are my kids called? They're post
Oh, they're
millennial.
Yeah.
post-millennial.
Is it
There's
called
there's
post-millennial?
a new
There's a
generation
name.
that's I don't
Yeah.
have they named them yet?
No, because Y is millennials, Gen
Yeah.
Y
They're the-
millennials, but
they're the
they
meh
are. But now I
Yeah.
actually looked
That
that
just
up like a
blew my
month ago.
mind when I realized, oh, millennials are Generation Y.
Yeah.
Why did we? I
remember
didn't realize we stopped
Generation
calling
Y.
them Generation Y. I thought millennials was a new thing, and they're like,
We've
oh.
run out of alphabet numbers. We have to
Yes.
start.
There
I
is.
know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I looked
Yeah.
this up like a month or so ago, and now I can't.
'Cause
remember
I'm
this out.
Gen X.
Yeah, yeah.
Right at
so,
the end.
yeah.
You and I are
I'm
at
at
the
the
tail
end of Gen X, the very end of Gen X.
Actually, you and I are the
Generation Next.
I'm the tail end of
Yeah.
the baby boomers.
I'm the beginning of Gen X.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Generation
I'm not a baby
Next.
boomer.
Yeah.
I'm a Spice Girls
Because they're.
fan.
There's a gray area in there.
So tell me what you want. What you really want.
Zigga zigga.
I do
Oh my God.
I don't want to give Simon
Gotta
any
get
more
with
money.
my
I really don't. I hate that guy.
Forever.
I think the Boggart should do that. So.
No.
Wouldn't it be disconcerting to have a bunch of
No.
bunch of big guys
I
saying,
want
"If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friend."
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You.
Every boys and girls.
I don't want to give Simon
would
any
be
more
my thing.
money.
That's okay.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Put it on YouTube.
I would love to see.
He's
the
gonna get
Boggarts
one
do it.
shit,
Yeah, why
YouTube
are you
ad
not
and
doing-
make like
you need
10
to
cents.
Do that.
huh?
You need
Yeah.
to do that.
Maybe that'll be our song for Bugfest.
Really, I need this to happen. It sounds
That would
I do
be
amazing.
so
too.
funny. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that would be so funny.
They would never expect it.
No, they wouldn't.
Or you could do one, two, but
Well,
one.
they wouldn't if we didn't do it in a public forum where people can listen in and not be.
Get your beverages ready. This is a
Anyway.
long one.
Beverages.
So first, the success story. Some time ago on the podcast, there was a discussion about big GM reveals and how rarely they actually work out. That's true. Or if they do, it is typically not as mind-blowing to the players as the GM expected. Also true. Well, at least this one time, it worked for me. We have been playing the F20. You know what? F20.
Well, that's the joke.
Right. What is? I don't know what F20.
It means fuck 20.
I know 13th age, but
13th age.
He talks about
said
it later,
game-
doesn't
yeah.
he?
No, there's a
He has a
there's a
post-
no,
footnote.
F20 is the game
footnote.
company.
No, it is. It's a footnote.
Dude, like,
Holy
Jen,
crap.
this is
Game is
an
13th
essay.
age.
Like,
A PPS. I used the term F20 in
Yes.
this email, and in the show there has been confusion as to the origin of the term. I don't know if that was ever cleared up, but figured it was expounded upon some. I don't know if this is where it originated, but I heard it from Ken and Robin talk about stuff. That's
Okay.
That's a good podcast.
That's the podcast that wins all the
pedigree.
awards.
It
Pedigree,
is.
yes.
Nice.
So
They're the NPR of role-playing game
it's,
podcasts.
Nice.
it's their term for fantasy D20 role-playing
Okay.
games.
All right.
So I like to say
Okay.
just fuck 20.
F20 game, 13th age with a sword and a planet-style
It's also
game
a
with magical space flight and the like. With an H.P. Lovecraft, Robert W. Chambers style, Chambers style element of encroaching oval from a reality beyond threatening existence.
Well played.
Yeah.
Frederick.
With that in mind, the players stumbled into some relics from this outer world and knew that they were unnatural and corrupting. One player, we all have that one player, decides that they think it will be fun to lose their sanity and dive headfirst into any evil / corrupting / insane making thing they can find. This is where the long con game came into play. I wanted there to be ramifications for that player knowingly and willingly subjecting their player, their character,
Yeah, the
I assume,
character, yeah.
to these cosmic horrors. So I began a campaign of subtle manipulation against the player to represent his growing madness.
Subtle manipulation.
A few times it was overt and obvious that something was happening to him, which everyone was expecting. But besides that, I started working in subtle acts. The intelligent magic item began communicating with him less and less.
Oh, it's like a marriage.
Not answering the player. No longer.
Oh, can I high five? Can we high five? I'm serious. Don't leave me hanging.
It's funny because it's true.
I know.
No longer being able to keep the mental connection, and the character began hallucinating. This usually was in battles where the quote-unquote enemy would come from behind a building or from hiding, and the insane character would be the only one who passed the check to notice it. Rolling behind the screen, of course, so no one knew that it was not because of luck that he was the one who saw it. And so the player would attack it, causing it to flee.
So basically he's
Seeing things
Yeah.
and attacking them.
attacking shadows.
Attacking the darkness.
Yeah.
This was well and good.
Attack the darkness.
This was all well and good. But as the game went on, it became harder to describe things to crazy characters without tipping them off by trying to tell the other players what is actually going on. So in a group chat with all the other players, I told them what had been happening,
Yeah, I can
which
see.
they already
I
suspected.
can see everybody's like, what? And then you're like, all right. Go to the bathroom. This is going to be a long slack. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which they had already suspected. And we created a code system inspired from one of the Dresden books where they would know that what I was describing was seen only by the crazy character. It worked like a charm, and crazy never caught on.
Really?
And even picked up a magical implement that he thought was of great strength and that everyone else knew was just to be a broken wand.
Oh no! Really? No, that's a great magic item. No, it's
You should keep
no.
that.
You should keep that.
You should keep that, Crazy Larry.
That's
When we ended the game and the players triumphed over the big bad evil guy, we did a montage of what each character did with their lives afterwards. Then finally we were able to get a good laugh in and let the crazy player know that what had been going on for so long. He was a good sport about it and in fact loved it.
Nice.
It took him completely by surprise, and you could see the light of recognition when all of the pieces fell into place.
I salute
That's
you.
pretty awesome.
I
That's
salute
pretty
you
fun.
and your entire group for
Yeah.
buying
Yeah.
into that thing. Because
That's
basically
awesome.
your entire group is now putting a lot of resources and energy into fooling another player character to keep their character concept working.
Yes.
I mean, that's buy-in, and that's acting, and that's a story right there. Everybody else is like, oh yeah, no, we all see it. No, it's all good, man. Yeah, cool. They're spending an enormous amount of energy making sure that guy has a great time.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And selling that character.
Did
That's
you
cool.
see Kong Skull Island?
Why would I?
That's exactly the question.
I
I was
like,
thinking, why?
I was
Why
fucking
would you?
floored. I was
Really?
freaking floored. It's not a typical Kong movie.
Well,
It doesn't have the exact same story as all the King Kong movies. I really liked it. I really liked it.
Weird.
Okay.
It's way over the top, but the CGI for Kong is fantastic. It tears your heart apart
Really?
by his facial expressions at certain times. I mean, really.
The original King
I think
Kong-
they mocapped. I think it's mocapped.
It was.
because I mean, it's the most expressive Kong I've ever seen.
I'll tell you about it in the backstory. But the original, what they were trying to do was do the original King Kong, but spin it for a modern audience. Because the original King Kong, people were crying in the aisles.
Oh, yeah.
when he falls off the thing, and
Yeah.
they sympathize with that ape.
Well, that-
and they made it happen again.
Spoilers. None of that happens.
No, but you sympathize.
Interesting.
It's not a story about capturing Kong. I'll
No.
just leave it there.
Okay.
No.
It's here's Kong's Island. You're going to have an adventure on it,
Yeah.
but it's still Kong's Island when you leave.
It's not called. It's called. Yeah, it's called. Yeah.
It's not, but
It's all in the title.
But I was shocked, and also the guy that's in Walk Hard is in it. He plays the
Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox.
John C.
Long,
Riley.
long story.
John C. Riley,
Long
that's
story
it.
short.
He's in it. He plays a crazy World War II veteran.
Long story
who's been on
short,
the island for
he
30
showed up
years.
at my door once.
Did he really?
He like knocks on the door, I open
What?
it up, and he's like, "Hi." I'm like, "I know you.
But you don't know me.
Wait,
I'm
what?
an actor." Yeah. I'm like, my kids went to the same preschool that because he lives in the area.
Oh, he
They went to
does?
the same-
Okay.
Well, he
He is-
did.
okay.
He did at the
Doesn't
time.
matter.
And anyway, so
'Cause
John
he's
C. Riley
fucking
shows
hysterical.
John C. Riley shows up on my doorstep to sell oranges, and at this point it was like Chicago.
sell
It wasn't
oranges.
new him. Yeah.
Those are those oranges you kept bringing over.
And these are the
Dude,
things that happen when
John
you're
C.
in LA.
Riley
We're
brought
like,
these to
I
me.
know.
Yeah.
I'm gobsmacked.
Anyway,
I didn't know
Long
they
story
were John C. Riley oranges.
It's
I would have
all-
bought 2 boxes.
It's one of those Hollywood moments. But he shows up at the door and he knocks on the door and we're like, I know you.
My wife was
Why
making
are
me
you at
sell
my
oranges
door?
for my daughter.
But it's not like well, this is like he had just done Chicago. And he was still not quite, John C. Riley. And so it's like he
Chicago's
shows up at the door and
pre-Boogie
it's a total character actor moment. We're like, I know you.
I think so.
I think so.
Aren't you that
Yeah.
guy? And it was one of those. Yeah.
What?
Hollywood.
They were right about the same time. I think.
Yeah.
Carry on.
It's,
Pretty
it's
nice.
like my favorite scene in The Postman is the one with Tom Petty.
In the
Oh,
post.
Tom
You ever seen The
Petty.
Postman? Kevin Costner?
Oh, yeah,
the
Kevin
movie-
Costner in it. That's why I never saw it. Yeah.
The movie that everyone pans. But I really liked it.
Not Il Postino.
Adam's with me.
I'm with you.
So far,
Yeah.
but it's two
There's
for two.
simpatico, buddy.
But when they get to the giant dam,
We both work in Hollywood. Neither of us have seen these movies. Why,
And they-
why would we?
and Tom Petty's mayor of this dam, you
That's
remember
kind
that?
of. No, I didn't
It's
see
like
that.
Bump.
And
I thought you meant Il
Yes, sir.
Postino.
and
Like a movie.
no, The
Okay.
Postman.
No, I never
and,
saw
and
that.
Kevin Costner looks at him and is like, "Weren't you famous once?" No, kind of.
Let me
Tom
sing
Petty.
this song about it.
Right.
Tom Petty.
She's a good girl.
Tom Petty's.
Loves your mama.
See?
Jesus.
Everyone loves Tom Petty.
It's true. It's true.
I know.
I did a genuine spit take.
Yeah.
I did a genuine
I
spit
listen,
take.
every time
God damn it.
Yeah, you do.
every
did.
time. What's that? What?
I did a genuine
did?
spit take.
Oh, nice.
I was
Woo!
drinking and he goes, "Is it good?" And I did a genuine
nice.
spit take into my beer. Duh.
I was gonna say every time that line about the vampires up in
All the vampires
Yeah.
living in Reseda.
Reseda. Yeah, and like I can how like every time I hear that line, I think he plays Vampire the Masquerade.
He's one of us.
Yeah, because I mean, if anybody knows about vampires in Reseda, like it's got to be a masquerade.
I don't know if you could finish the Dungeon Master's Guide being that stoned.
Oh no, you can't. No. I know, you can.
I do know plenty of people people who would try.
Sure.
Yeah. My
You may
friend
not
Zach ever
understand it all.
listens to this, I'm looking at you.
You may not understand it all, but you can finish it.
Yes, yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Anyway,
Actually, I
don't you?
think you'd
Are you in the middle of a letter?
Oh,
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, Reseda, that's where I went to shows twice and got to sit next to Bill and Ted's guy.
My favorite.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's where my
'Cause
hairline
he was
is
there
going.
all the time.
Norm's Rare Guitars.
It's a Reseda.
Norm's Rare Guitars is in Reseda. Left-handed 12-string 1957
Right?
fucking Rickenbacker.
Yeah.
Right there,
Right.
motherfucker. That's right. I held the thing and got to play it myself. A guitar that cost more than any car I've ever owned.
Wow.
But less
Left-handed 12-string Rickenbacker.
but less than both
my
your
God.
ex-wives.
Well, yes.
Now, when you
Wow.
played it, did you play Stairway?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I just played a few chords on it. 'cause
Rickenbacker.
Actually,
what's-
I wanted to
Because
put it back
otherwise
down.
it's,
Yeah.
I didn't want to
there's no
scratch it.
stairway.
Right, yeah, what's that? What movie is that?
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World,
Right.
that's right, yeah, yeah. Love that. Sorry. Okay.
Now for the horror story of the Millennialist
That's
game
right.
group. Millennialist game group. This is a
Okay.
different game with a different group of players. The players are my girlfriend and her friends. For the context of the story, there is not insignificant age difference between my girlfriend and myself.
Okay, I had to read that sentence at least 3 times.
There is not
an
insignificant age difference. So that means there is a significant
yes.
age difference.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
Between my
hashtag
girlfriend and myself.
Jailbait.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Not like a I'm going to jail kind of difference.
No.
Thank
Okay,
you
well
for clarifying.
that
Yeah.
just means
Thank
that the
you.
lower age.
So you're not in
It can
Congress
still be creepy.
or
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
for
Half your
Congress.
age plus 7.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Really?
Like,
There's rules?
I don't know.
Really?
Some of
Because
us-
that would, for me, that would be 33,
Yeah.
and that seems awfully young.
Wait, what's
I mean,
the rule?
honestly,
would have
half
nothing
your
in
age
common.
plus 7. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like,
33?
I could date a 29-year-old for like a few hours.
Date.
Yeah.
But like,
Sushi and a beer. You're done.
yeah. I'd be like Quagmire. Like, why are you still here? like,
33 seems awfully young.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
We
even
should
for
have
me,
Adam
like,
on more often. We're just not going to have any more emails to read. We'll just talk.
All right.
I have thanks.
I'm so honored.
30.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
I don't know. Jason Mills told me that rule, so
So it's got to be right.
That guy,
right.
he's a
he
reprobate.
knows everything.
Reprobate.
Just ask.
I don't want to know what he does in his business.
Yeah, you do.
My girlfriend and her friends are role players and have played prior to us dating, but they have not had any experience outside of a few games of D&D. For the usual game, one of the DMs and the rest of us play, but when the DM can't make it or we are missing players, we tend to do one-shot games that night
Yeah,
instead.
that's kind of the norm. Yeah.
To help understand the group, there is myself, the grognard of the group, my girlfriend, and her friends, who are the usual DM, a coworker of hers, a high-functioning autist,
I like the word autist.
a transgender
yeah.
guy, and a lesbian. I bring this up not because there's anything wrong with any of this, but merely to detail the diversity of the group and establish its millennial bona fides.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure I like millennial bona fides, but yes, it's nice to see how dramatic this group
Yeah.
has the possibility of being.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And yes.
Well, and like to me, like this is more like I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, that sounds like an awesome group, you know. But like,
I'm just seeing a minefield.
right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean,
That's because you're an old man.
that's
well, I work in Hollywood, and
Yeah.
I can just see that this is
Yeah.
just rife with possibilities
yeah.
of things to go sideways.
And to be fair, and I'm making assumptions, but
Yeah, of
but
course. Well,
for you know,
we haven't
for,
finished the email yet.
Yeah, for white straight guys, it is a minefield right now. And all I'm going to say about that is, you'll be fine. Just keep
Yeah.
smiling. And,
True.
Or in the words of Dory, just
keep swimming. Yes, yeah. So
Yep.
it's going to be okay. We'll let you stay.
Yeah.
It's just we're going to push back a little bit because we're tired. You're really, really tired.
But that's not the minefield I'm talking about, because he actually goes into this.
Oh, yes.
It is a literal minefield. People actually were planning explosives.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah. But no, this minefield, it's coming. He's not entirely without reason for his fear. Anyway.
Yeah.
With that out of the way.
Foreshadowing.
The foreshadowing.
Time
That's
is-
why I'm such a good GM.
Time is up.
The story begins on one of our game nights where the DM was not able to run his regular game. So instead we decide to play whatever for the night. Whatever is a fantastic game.
Right?
One of the best
I think
dice
it's
resolution
one of the
systems
best.
I've ever seen.
It's one of the best hacks of Apocalypse World.
Whatever
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
The apocalypse
Right.
world,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right, yeah.
If that's not a thing, it needs to be a thing.
Right, yeah. It's where everybody says what they want to do, and the GM just goes, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. That's Stork's Apocalypse.
That's the randomizer.
I resisted so hard. Memeing, like, fixing something in Slack the other
I don't
day.
even know why we have dice. Just tell me what
Yeah.
you want to do, and I'll
Yeah.
say,
Yeah,
okay.
whatever.
Whatever.
This game has a rule.
Yeah, you do it.
Whatever.
You do it. Whatever.
That's how we're playing the L5R beta. We're using the whatever mechanic.
That's funny.
If this isn't a thing, it needs to happen. Whatever.
Where are those dice? Have you seen the fucking dice for the L5R beta?
No.
Holy shit.
Oh, they're right over here. In the
Oh,
Alpha.
that's
No,
what
no,
this
that's
is.
not them. That's not them.
I've seen the picture
Oh, here they are.
of the dice in the
Yeah.
back of the book.
Figure out how you're going to read that shit.
What?
Yeah, no. Whatever.
It's like tea leaves.
Whatever. Okay.
It's
so
tea leaves. Yeah, you roll them.
Just roll.
You roll them, and you go. I got a
Okay.
spermazoa.
I got swirly with smudge,
Yeah.
and I got like blue mitochondria with heart.
Yeah.
Hooray! I win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? There you go.
I got
That's
Fritos.
what
I got green
and-
sperm. I got green sperm with heart. And,
They've
Someone
taken
make those for you?
They've taken the complicated game and added tea leaves.
yeah. Oh
Chicken
my
entrails.
gosh,
Chicken
yes.
entrails. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Whew, okay.
They're pretty.
With that out of the way, the
but
story.
it's not broken.
Yeah. Sure, it's
It may
good.
not have been working to start with.
Well, I mean, that's so much better than D10s.
Sure. Yep.
With that out of the way, the story begins on one of our game nights where the DM was not able to run his regular game, so instead we decided to just play whatever for the night. I told my girlfriend that I have something prepared from earlier that I could bring and run, so we make that the plan. Because I am still the new member of the group and wanted to earn some points with my girlfriend,
Aw.
I decided to go to a local pizza shop and bring a few pies for the group, because everyone likes punch and pie, to enjoy while we game.
I will let you know that if you bring pizza pie to like one of our games, yes, you will be our friend.
Yeah.
Unless I'm on a diet, and then I'm going to
nice.
piss me off. This was the beginning of the end. Before going on, because this is the age of social justice warriors and the internet vigilantism, I would like to be on the record as saying that any jabs against millennials is completely tongue-in-cheek and that I myself am in that age range.
Okay.
Carry on and drink them if you got them.
Have
This
a
email's going to
order.
get us in trouble. I should
Does
really
everybody
pre-read
have-
the emails, huh?
Well,
This
no,
email's gonna get us in
we're
trouble.
fine. He actually
No.
pre-excused us. We're okay.
Yes. Yeah. No, and actually, there's some really interesting conversation here. That, yeah.
There are, but
Yeah.
Should someone more diverse than me read this email?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want?
Okay.
No,
I think it's fine.
Why are we all looking at him?
I think it's perfect.
But if you,
I was looking here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
I
at
mean,
you. Not
if you
at
want to trade off and let Gina read half of it, though, I think we would all understand because it
I
is
can-
like 3 pages long.
I used to read Jib emails.
Yeah, no,
single-handed.
you like to read that. I'll share my email with you.
We can bring
'Cause
Jim
it's
in
also
here to
long.
read them.
Oh,
This
yeah.
next one.
That would be
Oh,
good
the
penance.
Costa. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
We're
Yeah.
writing long emails.
There are a lot of long.
I was
emails.
expecting
Yeah.
to be the hero of the night, bringing gifts and food
Right?
and games to the poor college-age kids like a god from the days of yore. Instead,
It's so Dickensian.
what I got was 4 of the 6 of us not eating any pizza because everyone found one thing on it that they did not like.
They were all vegan.
And had been told that because they never had food from a specific place, they did not know if it was safe food
Okay.
for them.
All right, hold on. I have pre-read this.
awesome.
I don't know what the word "safe food" is in quotes.
Okay, so all right.
All right,
Is this
so
like
Is that a thing?
Let me talk on this.
Cruelty-free?
Well, it might be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of somebody who has, like, insane, obnoxious, unrealistic food restrictions.
Ooh.
So I have all kinds of sensitivities. I am allergic to nightshades, and
Potatoes, tomatoes,
peppers,
cucumbers, peppers, all of
Not
that.
those,
Wow.
not cucumbers.
Holy
Are
crap.
nightshade? I'm fine with- they work.
The
Not
woman
bad.
who used
Anyway.
to play
Yeah.
Queen at the
Whoa.
Renaissance Fair
Yeah.
when we first started
Was allergic to
was
everything.
Yeah.
but she was allergic to one specific
Amino
acid.
Oh yeah,
And
So-
it limited
yes.
hugely what she was
She
able to
ate
eat.
rice
Is that
cakes
is
and
what
water.
you're
So
similar to
yeah,
that?
so I'm on what's called a low FODMAP diet. FODMAP. So
taking notes.
Right?
Hold
Okay.
on.
So FODMAPs are a series of sugars that are in a lot of different things, and they're hard for some people to digest. I happen
Wow.
to be one of them. So
Lucky
FODMAP
you.
I know, it's
So
great.
Not
yeah.
only is your life hard
Yeah.
enough being
Right.
the person
Yeah.
that you are,
And-
you can't eat
Yes.
regular food.
And you know what's
nice?
You know what's low in FODMAPs? Nightshades. So I had this huge long list. I actually downloaded an app on my phone to when I started.
Is it called "Can I Eat This"?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And it's just this rice cake.
Yeah, it's just rice cake. Yeah, I mean, it's not
Rice
an-
cakes and
yeah.
ice.
Yeah, my diet basically consists of ground meat cooked in coconut oil with rice and lettuce and squash.
That does not sound bad.
No.
It's actually delicious, and I
It
learned
could
that to
get
be really good.
kind of tiring after a while.
Yeah, it does. But
Add a little spice to that
Yeah.
for a curry. Yeah.
right,
You can make it no pepper, right?
No, I can
Okay,
do
Not green peppers, but you can
Yeah.
pepper spice.
Okay.
peppers. I can do in moderate amounts. Tomatoes, it's like one bite. If it's more than a chunk the size of a knuckle, then
Potatoes
Oh my
gone.
God.
Yeah.
Eggplant.
Potatoes are a different reaction, but just as bad and just as obnoxious and just
Eggplant?
as instant.
Wow.
Eggplant, instant, instant. I'm running to the
Nightshade.
bathroom.
Nightshade's your bad thing.
So, but peppers, I
Yikes.
can eat, and they just make me a little gassy. So
Well,
I can
don't
do
do
like
that
a
here.
free
Everything.
Yeah, right.
You're fine.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So, yeah.
Who
So
is here? Then you have cover.
Right, yeah.
And you're not clearly
You know
not
what?
gluten probably.
Right.
If you
So
ever
here's
playing a
the-
game with Dave,
Yeah.
no one will think it was you.
Oh, nice. Okay. So here's
Dave,
the thing.
it's like it happens
So
once,
my-
and it's always
Mark
his
for
fault.
life.
My
Carry
body
on.
has no problem with glutens, but gluten generally is coincidental with FODMAPs. So most breads that have gluten also have FODMAP sugars, or are high in FODMAP sugars. So I'm screwed with a lot of gluten stuff, but generally like beer. I'm
I've
fine.
already said way more about food than I've ever known in my
Right?
life.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's more than I want to
I'm
I
do.
know.
still trying to figure out
It says
FODMAP.
Yeah.
FODMAP is a short chain of carbohydrates
Yes.
that's poorly absorbed by the small intestine.
Clearly. I mean,
So,
Yeah.
so there are certain kinds of beer that are going to be worse than other kinds of beer.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, because depending on which enzymes ate up
Right.
So
during
he's
the mash.
drinking
And I
this
don't,
right now.
I don't know until I drink them. But actually, I've been, this is my third one of these, and I feel fine.
He's
so
drinking this
clearly-
right now,
Good.
and he's just biting the bullet just to be cool.
Right.
Because he's going to go home and just die.
Well, but that's the thing is bread. A lot of breads, a
game.
lot of grains have
Yeah.
are high in the FODMAPs, but it's not the gluten that's the problem. But a lot of gluten-free stuff is oh, good, I can have gluten-free because it's going to be low in FODMAP almost
Right.
certainly. However, a lot of the gluten-free breads and cookies and cakes and crackers and all that thickened with potato starch.
Yeah.
Which you also
Nightshade
can.
allergy.
Right.
So so I have this minefield
Okay.
of food. So I get this.
Safe.
So that's
However-
safe food. All right.
Yes, that's safe food.
Because that was my question.
Yeah.
Safe food.
However, caveat, I am not an asshole about it. And if somebody brought me pizza, I would think, that is so sweet. Thank
Right?
you. I can't eat it.
Right.
But that
I'm
is
so
such
sorry,
a nice thing
but
to
oh
do.
my God, that is so
hey,
nice.
I'm
Yeah.
going to grab this thing that I brought myself because
I know I can't eat pizza.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's not the rest of the world's
Yeah.
problem. It's mine.
Oh!
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what an eye opener that is?
Yeah.
You got,
You're
the
not
rest
a
of the world is not
millennial.
responsible
Yeah.
for
No,
you?
I am not. I am
'Cause
not.
I think
You're from the
Yeah.
X generation.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the
Who would have thought anyone
I
would
don't
ever
know.
consider us respectable?
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Generation X, where we were screwed over the baby boomers, and we're just like, fuck it, our kids will raise themselves anyway.
Right.
See, I'm not a baby boomer. That's why they fuck you kids, right?
Well,
That's why we got no
Did I
money.
ever tell you the first time I watched? I've only watched one episode of Mad Men.
Oh,
And I watched the first episode and I had fucking flashbacks.
Yeah, right?
Really?
Because they're having a cocktail party at someone's house, and there's some kids running by, and one of them bumps into a table and knocks a drink over.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy grabs him and smacks the kid in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dad walks up and goes, "What's going on here?" Says, "Your kid knocked over my drink. Did you learn your lesson or you want more?"
Right.
Now go get your mother and tell her to clean this mess up. That was my fucking childhood right there.
And had to make a drink for you.
Right. Yeah.
And I flash back on that same scene because my family had those same gold-rimmed little cocktail glasses things. I'm like,
Little low balls.
holy shit, I had that in my house.
Right.
Whoa. I'm there.
Right? I know.
You were like, trigger.
Right. Yeah. Right.
X card. Turn the TV off, please.
I didn't know I had a horse until then, and yes, his name was Trigger. I had no idea. I was like, I was there, but no, it
never
wasn't a
know.
bad thing. I just was like astonished that they found those glasses.
Right.
I remember them intimately.
That's scary.
Yeah. Okay.
Not eating any of the pizza because everyone found one thing on it they did not like and had been told that because they had never had food from that specific place, they didn't know if it was safe food for them.
Yeah.
One at least ate it and just picked off what they did not want.
Yep.
The rest refused to eat and just hovered over the breadsticks like vultures.
That's a really good descriptive modifier.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
After several of them had complained about how hungry they were and how they had eaten nothing all day. Now,
Yourself.
correct me if I'm wrong, but he specifically said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to buy pizza for everyone."
No, he showed up.
Spontaneously
Right, he
decided.
showed up with food.
So normally he wouldn't bring food,
Yeah.
so they're just going to complain.
Yeah, because in my mind, and this is why this is a horror story to me,
Right.
and like it has nothing to do with their diversity or their millennial status.
No.
It's that these are a bunch of spoiled little shits.
Or dicks.
Feed
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
If you like, you know, like
Yep.
I
If you know you can't eat pizza,
right, yeah,
They
Bring
took
your
it
own
as an
food.
opportunity. Oh, you
Yes.
brought pizza? I can't
Oh.
eat pizza. I haven't eaten all day.
yeah. How dare you? Oh my god!
I love
I
this.
know, it's true.
My children do this to me.
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
post-millennials.
Well,
and I'm like,
and
what
They're
do-
also minors.
you're right. They're also
So, like,
adults.
Yeah,
my children can cook.
yeah.
Yes.
See, that's
And they-
good. Yeah.
My daughter got home from selling cookies. She was out selling cookies for Girl Scouts. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, Zachary and I went out for dinner.
Yeah.
If you want to eat, there's the kitchen.
Right. Yeah. Use
know
that
the-
Girl Scout money for some groceries, girl.
Like you can make soup. You can make this. You can make that. There's all kinds of things you can make.
Yeah. Right.
I have
Holy
to podcast.
shit. Generation Z.
Oh, is that what
They're
they're?
Yeah.
calling them?
But those are from the mid 90s to the early the 2000s.
The
So
Hey,
what
the
are
aughts?
the
So what's the new?
Are they
Yeah, so what's the new? The aughts, yeah.
oh, well, the aughts. That's through the aughts because my kids are aughts. My kids
Yeah.
are 05
through
and
the
08,
aughts. So
07.
they're Generation Z.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Well, we run out of the alphabet.
Yeah, X, Y.
No, we go to AA.
Oh,
And then AB, AC, AD, and then
Wait,
It's just
Generation
like license plate.
AA and the
Yeah.
baby boomers are the same.
right. I was just gonna say.
Oh, they're called Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha.
Gen
Oh,
Alpha.
we went to Greek. We went
Dude.
Greek.
Whoa.
That's the
Twen-
teens.
2013, this little dilly
Okay.
bobber
All right.
says. So.
This was unfortunate, but
Yeah.
at least
It's gonna be the longest podcast ever.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I learned things
I'm
though.
blaming you.
I learned nightshade.
this was
and-
unfortunate. But at least me and my girlfriend ate, and we're both fat and happy.
Yes.
Good.
fat
But
and
as
happy.
you can imagine, this already set the mood that was not wholly agreeable. Next was the game itself. As I mentioned above, none of them had any experience outside of playing D&D, and one Hunter the Vigil one-shot game I ran for them once. So I explained to them that we would be playing a scenario I made as a children's introductory game for a convention-style play using the Dungeon World system and reskinning it for a kids' card game called Gubs.
Not GURPS.
A fun, no, Gubs, yay. A fun and simple card game by Game Right. That's with a double, by the way. I know GH. and an E.
WRIGH?
No.
Like a right? Like
WRITE. Game right.
Okay.
Exactly.
They got their character sheets, got the basic rules explanation, and they began setting up the premise of the scenario. Everyone got into it except one player who has a history of being a troubled player in our regular game, who was refusing to call the call to adventure and would not allow their character to accept the premise of the game, which, especially for a one-shot, makes it rather difficult.
It does indeed.
Flames on the side of my face.
You brought
Burning. Sorry.
You brought pizza I couldn't eat.
That's the one who complained the most about the pizza.
Probably.
Eventually, the other players chided him into finally going along with the game so the game could move forward. Once things got going, it was time to begin rolling dice and having things happen. Now, as an aside, I think anyone who has played Dungeon World would agree. The rules of the game are not hard to understand.
Yep.
Describe what your character is doing. If the GM feels it triggers a move, they ask you to roll 2d6, add the stat, and based on the result, do what the move says. I understand that, and I've never run an Apocalypse World game.
That's really it. That's it. That's right there.
Very simple.
Adam?
It's very simple. I have played and run a lot of Apocalypse World. It is no more difficult than that.
Is that sentence wrong?
That sentence is entirely correct.
There we go. I'm going to defer to you.
Each of their character sheets had the moves listed out.
Aha!
Yep.
And what they did.
Yeah, as they do.
Right there.
Yeah.
So, the same trouble player was just not getting it. After all, I tried to give as clear an explanation as I could, but they just could not wrap their minds around this, and when others tried to help, she began screaming at them and then had to run to the bathroom because she was having an anxiety attack from the rules. She needs to play Champions.
She'll end up catatonic.
Roll master.
Now, how are you playing 5th edition D&D?
Right.
Right?
You're playing 5th edition D&D on a regular basis, and someone's like, here's Apocalypse World. Anxiety, too many rules.
Adam, we know it's not really about the rules.
Right.
We know this, right?
This
We
all
know it.
comes down to the fucking pizza.
Yes.
Yes. It's
It
really
was-
about the pizza.
It was about the pizza. And I haven't eaten all day.
And you
brought pizza from an
That I
unsafe
can't.
environment.
Is this cruelty-free?
Yeah. Is it?
Is this cruelty-free pepperoni?
I just want to make sure that no peps were harmed in the making of this pepperoni.
He did preface this by saying it's a game about millennials, and we're with you. We're with you on this.
Yes.
We're buying into this. We get it now.
Yes.
Yep.
And I want to say my traditional caveat that as much as I make fun of millennials, and they do indeed deserve it, Generation X and baby boomers were way worse than you guys are. So, millennials, I'm still counting on you to save us from all of the bullshit that the baby boomers did.
It was foretold.
Gen X ignored.
I read a book in the 90s. It was foretold. You were supposed to save us.
Yep.
Yeah, you were supposed to have the best quality.
I mean,
it's on you.
It's a rite of every
both
generation.
generations.
It's a rite of passage to get shit on by the previous generation.
Yes, exactly.
It's just a rite of passage.
Baby boomers fucked over the entire world in entirety. And Gen X was like, meh,
You
fuck
mean
it.
the greatest generation?
Gotcha.
So the
No,
Silver
the
Ruler.
greatest generation is the generation
Oh,
before
baby
before the
boomers.
boomers.
Yeah.
Those,
That's
that's the World War
Okay.
II generation.
That's
Those
right.
are the ones who just
They're
killed
actually-
millions.
Yes. Here's how we solve our problems.
Yeah, the baby boomers are like, we're not going to kill millions, we're just going to keep them poor. And Gen X was like, well, as long as I have cocaine.
So the Silmarillion clearly says that you guys will inherit the earth.
Yes.
The Silmarillion. Yeah, it must be true.
It's going to happen.
Sorry.
Anxiety attack about the rules. She eventually came back, and everyone awkwardly tried to get back into the game, but it quickly became apparent that we were done for the night.
Clearly.
I still play with them, and I like my girlfriend and her friends, but this night lingers in the back of my mind. I refuse to bring food to the games now.
Well, yeah.
For anyone except my girlfriend and myself. And I don't think, you know what you need to do is bring a freaking brisket for you and your girlfriend.
Yes.
Is it safe though?
Free
know.
range,
No,
free
we
brisket.
tortured this cow to death.
It is all over when the drunk girl
Oh my
cries.
God.
Pain and fear makes the meat taste sweet.
kind of is.
What?
It's all over when the drunk girl cries. After the drunk girl cries, things get awkward. Ages do.
That's a T-shirt.
Right? Yeah.
Only you can wear it though. Because if I wear that,
The
I would
first
end up
thing
in
we do is
jail.
drown
Right,
all of
yes,
the rules
yeah.
lawyers. That's going to be
Yeah.
a freaking t-shirt.
That is.
I wish I had time to do that before the
Freaking
con,
genius.
because I would have
I don't
it
know-
at the con.
I almost wore my old
Doing this 10
Bugger
years
shirt.
now, and Adam showed up and nailed it.
Right?
Nailed it.
Nailed it. This is what diversity gets you.
I refuse to bring that
Exactly.
food to the game night.
You put the verse in diverse.
Yes. Nice. Awesome. I like that.
You put the div in diverse. That's a programming joke.
Nice.
Except my girlfriend and myself, and I don't think I would ever try to run a continuing game for them. I hope this meets the standards of the horribleness you have come to love and expect. Yes, it does.
Yep.
Thank you for reading this and for making the show for us, the listeners. You're very welcome, and thank you for writing this. P.S. I was so happy to have Tappy back, and he will be back again. I think he's going to be back the week
next
after
week.
the con.
I think
The
so
week
too.
after.
Yep.
I hope we get more of him. You will. It was because of him that, from an early episodes and another podcast that first got me interested in RPGs, into the RPG Exalted.
Nice.
Thanks,
Exalted.
Yeah.
Tappy's a big Exalted guy.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He kept us all to it, and early on we're like, "What's this Exalted thing?" And now we're all like, "Oh yeah, Exalted."
Oh, yeah.
It's actually
Still haven't played it.
well, no, we've
Is
never
it?
played
It's
it. It's a cool world.
Yeah, I played a hippie game set in the Exalted world. Some friend of mine ran a homebrew game.
Your Psyker stuff isn't that a?
what?
Huh?
Never mind.
You said words.
I
Are you
did.
talking about my
Strokes?
Warhammer stuff?
No,
I've
never
got
mind.
Psychers in my Warhammer.
Never mind. Carry on.
Because I'm playing Thousand Suns.
I was thinking.
I got
ahead,
Psychers.
and
I got a fuck storm of Psychers. Fucking
Okay.
shit up.
Yeah.
PPS. Because Thousand Suns have awesome Psychers. I know I use the term F20 in the email,
F20.
and in the show there has been
Yeah, we
confusion
went
as
through
to
this,
the
yeah.
origin of the term. See, because what was that other game? There was another something 20 that existed. Crafty Games, didn't they have their own version of something
I don't know
20?
that.
I can't remember what it was called. So there was something else. It was like, I don't know. Anyway.
20-something.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I
You already
think,
read that part.
So I think a lot of this horror story goes back to the first subject of the social contract
Yeah.
and the primary rule: don't be a dick.
Douche, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, just
How dare you bring pizza?
yeah, and like.
Well,
Right?
If you're showing
Right.
up to a game, it is not the other people's responsibility to feed you or to
Yeah.
provide you with alcohol or
Yeah.
like
or if they show up with food and alcohol,
Right.
it's not your responsibility to humiliate them
Right.
for doing so.
we're trying to be nice.
Right, they brought food. I have brought food, and you're like,
Yeah.
don't be a douche about it. I'm like,
Right,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I can't eat it. It's not on my diet. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry, sushi gives me the shits.
right?
Didn't you know that?
How dare
asshole?
you? Yeah.
I
Well,
said, I'm
how
going to
dare
cry in the
you.
bathroom because
like
you brought
the-
sushi.
the social contract discussion earlier, and he's like, saying like everyone cannot be expected to know what your trigger words are
Yep.
all the time. Just take words out of that. Everyone
Right.
cannot be expected to know what your triggers are. You have to communicate. If things
Mm-hmm.
bother you, if there are anxieties or problems you have,
Yeah.
you have to tell people about them in order for them to be able to respect them. And it sucks. And I know it's hard to tell people like, "Oh, I have anxiety about this." But like I can't be mad at them if I didn't tell them and they don't know. It's
That's
not,
the
yes.
point.
It's
Yep.
not their
Yep.
fault
No.
that
Yep.
they didn't know that you have anxiety issues over this or that.
I had no idea that pizza was a trigger food for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ultimately, your reaction to anything, you own that.
Yes.
That's your
Yeah.
reaction.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not the responsibility of anyone but you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't blame
No, it's true.
your bad reaction on the guy that brought the pizza.
No.
He's just trying to be nice. That's on you.
Right.
And
yeah.
many of the millennials, I think, might actually try to diverse their
I-
particular opinions.
I have a- see,
because they're,
I think, as it is with most things, there's a small, tiny, vocal, whiny minority
Yeah.
of people of this particular generation who are giving bad names to probably 98% of the rest of them, who are probably just as well adjusted as everyone.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, like, I have my 21-year-old nephew that lives with me now, and he's awesome. He's smart, and he's like motivated and interesting and different, and he accepts everybody.
It can't possibly be the case. He's a millennial,
right? Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, he's a
I
millennial.
know one, and he's fine.
Yeah.
So I therefore.
Right. It's just like we get these ideas that like all these millennials are this certain way. They are not.
He did preface it.
It's
that
like
way.
gaming nerds.
Yeah.
Think back to gaming.
Right, yeah.
Look at how gaming nerds get portrayed on television and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And we watch it and we roll our eyes and we're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
But that's because there's a tiny percentage of us who do act that way. And that's what sticks in people's minds.
Or maybe even a large percentage back in the day, but it's changed.
Yeah.
Even
It's
back in the
definitely
day,
striking.
there weren't that many who were like that.
No, there were. We just didn't
There were
care.
there were
Because there were only 5 of you in town, and you had to play with them.
and you had to play with that one guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So you just deal with it. And I think in some ways that did make the gaming community start to be a little more accepting. Sort of set that path of like, well, this person has this really antisocial behavior, but he's the only healer, so
You're willing to play.
Oh, you brought the healer thing up.
Yeah,
I know what you're doing. I know what you're
yeah.
doing.
And that, but, you know,
It's
like,
really interesting. Coming from an introvert, you say you're an introvert, and yet you are actually really, really well spoken and very good at communicating stuff. Most introverts I know mumble a lot and stuff, but you're the theater introvert that I know. There's a lot of actors I know that are introverts, and they only come alive when they're telling a story.
Yeah, very much.
And I get that, but you're kind of the exception to the rule. You keep talking about a bunch of introverts and stuff, and it's introverts are not always the shy, retiring, inarticulate person that the society portrays them as. A lot of introverts are. I'm preaching to the choir. Maybe I'm preaching to them, which is people that are uncomfortable showing off to people, but they're well spoken, well thought, and they do have stories to tell.
Yes,
I would go on record as saying 90%, and it's a number I made up, of writers are introverts.
Yeah, absolutely.
They like to spend more time alone and in their head than to do with other people. Now, then there's a percentage of writers that like to spend time with other people, but I think a lot of them, it's a lonely, isolating craft that you spend. And I think a lot of gamers and GMs have that same gene, have that share that same.
Every personality test I've ever taken has said I'm an introvert.
Yeah,
and I am.
Yeah. See, so I was a very shy and withdrawn kid for a long time. But I was raised by a dad who is like, my dad was one of those people, he never goes anywhere where he doesn't have a friend. Everywhere we would go, it was like, oh, hey, Joe, how you doing? And he would have this long conversation, and it would take hours to leave because he's got to talk to everybody. And, so he was just that kind of guy. And that's what I was raised by. He was a real estate agent, and he was a politician, and he knew everybody in town. Yeah, the gift of gab. And I have all kinds of...
So compared to that,
you
didn't have it.
So, the thing is that I saw that in action. So even though to me that was terrifying, I did see the example of it. And there was this very specific moment where I decided that I was going to be an outgoing introvert. And not an extrovert, but I'm outgoing.
It's like a shy exhibitionist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You
I'm one
you
of
could
those
be a
too.
shy
Yeah,
exhibitionist.
I think it's kind
That's
of...
why they made the internet.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I think it's kind of cool if somebody was watching me through my window. I just don't want to know about it.
No.
Just, if you're stalking me, just don't tell me. It's fine.
It is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Stalking is the most sincere form of
So I was super...
Not really. Happy Jack's RPG podcast. I'd like to mention that that's not the truth.
So I was I had this very specific moment. I was very, very into church and my Christian religion when I was young. And I was about 15, I think. I went on a mission trip, a church youth group mission trip to Olathe, Kansas, because Olathe, Kansas needed saving.
Because Kansas is so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Stork's hair is great.
Storage hair is great. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was for the.
I've been doing a lot of hair flipping. I
Nice.
should probably just put it
Kimmy's in the
back.
chat room says Stork's hair looks really great this evening.
I should put it back. I've been
soft and
it's
silky.
been drying out.
Gorgeous.
It's got a curl to it.
Yeah.
It does. I washed it. I can't do a thing with it.
That's very pretty.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. So I was on this church youth trip, and we were it was my church youth group and another church youth group from Paris, Texas. We're all coming to Olathe to help Olathe,
Save itself.
save itself
Find
itself.
baby
from the
Jesus.
Baptists who
somebody's
were
making
using guitars in their worship.
By the way,
Going to hell.
Paris, California is what we talk about. Fontucky.
Oh,
It's more urban than Fontucky.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, okay.
it's like the Oklahoma version.
It's
of
almost
Yes.
urbane.
Yeah. So
Paris, California.
Yeah.
oh
Perris, right?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but I'm talking Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even worse. Yeah.
Keep
All right.
up, man.
So-
Keep up.
So
Movie with Harry Dean Stanton.
yeah, so so I'm sitting in the church, and like we're waiting as everybody's showing up and all that. And there's this group from the Paris youth group, and they're behind me, and there's like 4 of them. They're talking and they're having so much fun, and I'm sitting by myself,
Aw.
ignored by the other like 15 kids in my church youth group because I'm the awkward outcast.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting by myself, just like a row in front of them.
So the
And-
all-inclusive church has ignored you.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
just checking.
So, but these 4 kids sitting right behind me are just having such a good time, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I could have friends. And I just turned around and said, "Hi, I'm Adam. I'm from the Ada group." And we started talking, and I hung out with these 4 kids all weekend, and I just learned
Aw.
oh, okay, I just have to just turn around and just do it, and once I'm moving, once I'm going towards the goal, it's fine because you just keep going, you just keep walking.
It's starting
Momentum.
that.
It's starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Starting is the hard part.
But that's
So-
a terrifying part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this, if you're going to a gaming convention and you're like, I'm terrified. I want to meet people. I want to have fun at this gaming convention, but I'm terrified of people. I get it. The hard part is getting out of your car. Once you've gotten out of your car,
Well said.
you just keep walking and just talk to somebody. You know?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I keep telling people to go to gaming cons. It didn't even occur to
Yeah.
me that might be ground zero for awkward
Yeah,
or really, really
Oh,
rough.
Yeah. So go to the gaming convention and then get out of your car.
Yeah.
And then next year you can work on talking to people.
Or sign up for a game.
Or sign
Yeah.
up for a game, yeah.
But here's the thing about gaming
don't get
cons
sad
is-
that it's hard.
I mean,
mean,
the
I-
thing
I
about
think-
gaming cons is you're surrounded by your people.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of introverted people end up going into role playing, because you get to sit down at a table and be someone besides yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that gives you maybe a little more level of comfort.
I still don't understand why people play Monster Hearts then.
Yeah.
High school is so awkward. Why would you want
Why
to
would you
recreate
want to do
that?
that?
Because you can be so
explore,
hot
yeah.
when you are. I went through high school. It was sorry, I'm
Yeah.
patting my mic. I went through high school. It was awkward and terrible, and I was miserable. But now I can go through high school in Monster Hearts, and I'm a super hot dude who can like seduce people just by getting wet. Like literally, this is a thing. It's a
yeah,
playbook that I
yeah.
just had a blast
your
playing.
playbook?
No, it's the
Oh, okay.
Rusalka.
Yeah.
So Rusalka is like, I think it's a Polish or
Uh-huh.
Ukrainian, Eastern European water spirit, basically. But like, just by getting wet, like if somebody sees you wet, it
Yeah.
counts as a turning someone on move.
Yeah. Like you have to be on the swim team.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Then it's just like, damn.
yeah.
I'm laughing. I'm not mocking you. I'm
on the water polo team.
astonished
Yeah, because
at the depth. It's so.
No, but imagine going through that period in your life again, knowing what you know.
yes.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And having a six
how to-
pack.
So I'd shove myself in a locker.
Yeah, right.
Like, so what do? I turn around and put myself back in a locker.
Yeah, right, yeah.
All day long.
Sounds like you're shutting someone down. Roll 2d6. Yeah.
Oh, I can just imagine. See that girl that's over there staring at you and playing with her hair? Go say hi, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah!
I'd roll and I spit carrot on her face and leave. So, I'm trying to chew carrot. It's
a
an
GM
oddly
hard
specific
move. You
reference,
spit
isn't
carrot
it?
on their face.
Tom. Yeah, so, oh my God, I spit carrot on her face. She doesn't know I spit carrot on her face. Oh my God, I'm being so cool with the carrot in my mouth. I should probably just leave now. I spit carrot on her face. I will never, ever talk to her again. Oddly specific, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
specific.
That's-
Like that might have.
That's what you get
never
for being an
happened.
extrovert, I'll tell you. Go out there and talk to that chick, you spit carrot on her face, I'll never talk to her again. She's living a life right now, and she's having a great time with a jock. They're married, they had great kids.
Was she all about Caltine bars?
I've followed her, I've stalked her incessantly. She's still got carrot on her face. Why? And why don't you want to play Monster Heart, Stork? I don't know. There's so much baggage. If I play this game, I'm going to. The world is not going to be
Did you
safe.
just ride your bike past her house?
No, maybe.
Maybe.
I did maybe walk by and held the boombox up, playing
was
in your eyes.
all for
I
you, Karen.
might have done that.
Oh, I gave her my heart, and she gave me this something pen.
Oh my
A
God.
hickey.
All right,
A hickey.
let's finish this.
Okay, here we go.
Two horror stories from
Two horror stories.
Kesta in
Costa.
Adelaide.
From Adelaide. Hello, Stu and the crew. I'm not going to do the yelly Australian voice.
Ow!
Hello, Stu and the crew. Costa from Adelaide, South Australia again.
In
South
South Australia, I was born. Heave away, all the way. We both switched to the same part at the same time. What the fuck,
You're
man?
singing bass now.
I started on melody.
Well, that's the way you arranged the song, actually.
You guys got
melody
a,
and then
Debussy.
Debussy.
You got a few weeks left.
You started
I'm doing that song for the
The
show.
way you did it was him away, and then
Oh, hold on. Before we go on with this,
That's right. Do the thing.
Dritzmas Eve,
Oh no, that's not the thing.
March 17th,
It is the thing.
also known as St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
We will be playing at the Petroleum Club. Why are you doing that with your mic now while I'm doing the gig thing?
Really peeing.
All right, he's going to be gone for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Watch.
All right.
You can usually hear it
Very
through the
large bladder.
Stork's an asshole. Anyway, March 17th at the Petroleum Club in Long Beach. Look it up. Google the shit. You
Yeah.
can see the Poxy Boggards, the Merry Wives of Windsor, and Sportive Tricks. We'll be doing a show. I think it starts at 8?
Yeah.
Something like that?
That
7?
sounds
I
right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. You can look on the Facebook.
Go to poxyboggards.com
There you go.
/tickets.
Yeah.
That's Poxy Boggards, POXYBOGGARDS.com /tickets. And you can find the Eventbrite page and give us $20 to come to the show. It's going to be a fantastic show. I promise. We're going to do a lot of awesome songs that will be from our upcoming CD, which will not be released at the show, unfortunately. We tried. It's not going to happen. But it's going to be a fantastic show. 3 great bands.
Yeah.
If you went last year,
It was a good show last year.
you know what was not great?
That they ran out of booze.
The
Yeah.
lines at the bar. The lines at the bar. However, here's what happens.
They're like 2 bar people.
Every time we play a venue, we tell them stock up on alcohol
Yep.
and bring in a lot of servers.
Yep.
And they always listen to us
Yep.
the second time we play there.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So they now they know.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a lot of servers.
literally-
They're going to have a lot of alcohol. Bar shouldn't be a problem. Come and join us. You'll love
That's
it.
a sign of a good band. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We've actually
Yeah.
we
Tickets
play,
available at the door.
tickets are available at
Okay,
the door.
good.
I would get them early because I
Yeah.
think we're limited to 300,
Okay.
and we sold out last year.
Oh, nice.
So I would
Mm-hmm.
strongly suggest poxyboggards.com /tickets to get your tickets. There you go. I'm sorry. Go ahead with you.
No, that's excellent. I'm glad you remembered to say that. Costa from Adelaide, South Australia again. Here is to hoping. C.A. Dave.
Good
Oh,
day.
Dave is there to read this.
He's
as
not,
he
sorry.
is my idol.
He
He
should
is
be
my
everyone's idol.
ideal. When it comes to larger than life characters brought to life by loud voice acting. Is Stu your runner-up, though? Because he does a loud voice acting. But yeah, Dave!
Yeah,
Good news!
Dave is much more affable than I am.
He is. Dave is awfully sweet.
I have to say, so my first experience with Happy Jacks was watching the Just Us #Heroes.
Oh.
So yeah, because Jason and I have played outside of this venue for several years now. And so Jason was like, I'm going to be playing on Happy Jacks, and we're playing Mask. And I'm like, that's my favorite game of all time. It's the best game ever. And so I started tuning in to watch that. And character creation came along, and Kade was like, I want to do Mr. Clean. And I'm like, ugh. He's going to ruin everything. Like, it's such a dumb idea. And
it used to be up here.
It's still up there. Yeah, it's on the other side of the
over
lights.
here.
I can see it because of the lights.
Then he started, I'm like, this guy doesn't understand tone. It's so dumb, so silly. And the others had these like serious, interesting characters. And just pushed my glasses up. And
got your millennial face on.
I know, right? Yeah. And then the first episode started, and it was so genuine and real, and this idea that could have been silly and frivolous, and he just turned it into this very
That's Dave.
moving thing. I'm like, that is fucking awesome. So Dave is my idol too.
You should watch him GM too. He is so much fun.
I've
He's
just
a
started
fan
watching
of the
Insert
players.
Coin, actually.
He's such a fan of his players, and I've co-GM with him numerous times, and he's always like, "Here's," and you get swept along with his enthusiasm.
Yeah.
No, Dave,
I love it.
he's awesome. He's our ideal too.
Yes.
He's our idol. So sorry he's not here, but he will hear this. So, and he was in the chat room earlier, I think.
Oh, cool.
I think I kicked him out.
Oh, did you? You said, "Boom, you're out of here."
He says, "I'm there in spirit."
Yeah. See. Yeah. I still want to. I want another hookup with Mr. Clean and Boom Boom.
Oh
or
yeah.
their kids.
Oh, I shipped that
Yeah.
hard. Yes. Oh my God, it's such a great relationship.
I know, it's so fun. Just want to say super thank you to reading my email. It made my week when I got to hear all of you enjoying what this Aussie gamer had to say in an email. So a little happy face.
Yeah, we still got a lot of email, huh?
Yeah.
Now it's
This is it.
It's
This
a
is the
jib level email coming in.
Yep.
Story times
what
3.
I'm saying.
It was actually on par. I didn't count word for word, but with the previous one. So
All right,
yeah.
take a deep breath and let's go through this.
Here we go. First up, I want to clear up some things since my last email that you bugger nuts.
Bugger
Bugger
lugs.
lugs. I was like,
don't know.
bugger nuts.
That's a Freudian
I'm
slip.
looking that up.
Bugger nuts.
Somebody look up bugger lugs.
Sure, bugger nuts.
Bugger
is a thing,
lugs.
so.
Yeah. No,
Look, we haven't even made it past the
totally
first
a thing.
sentence.
Bugger nuts is a candy bar. It's got to be.
Or a British gay
Yeah, I
nightclub.
did turn that. That's clearly bugger lugs, and I said bugger nuts.
Bugger lugs, an affectionate term for a child, particularly when it isn't listening to an adult. The implication being that the child's ears, lugs, have been fucked or buggered and can no longer hear as a result.
I'm sorry,
That
child.
was dark.
Oh,
That-
bugger lugs, are you listening?
That's
Now look
freaking
up,
wow.
Now look up bugger nuts.
awesome. Bugger
That
lugs.
is
See if we made up a word or if it's an Urban Dictionary.
that's an Australian
Yeah.
childish
Now
taunt if I've
that
ever
you
heard one.
bugger
Yeah.
The word bugger lug has an entire paragraph to
Yes,
describe
yeah.
it. It's
It
genius.
popped right up.
I'm sorry, child, that you
There's-
didn't pay attention to me. Clearly, someone was sticking their penis in your ears. Like,
I know.
Only
I
the
don't-
Australians.
Trigger.
I'm sorry that's triggering for me because I
Yeah.
had an eardrum perforation.
Yeah.
You know, I
I actually had a big chunk of my eardrum fell out of my ear.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
my
have pictures
God.
of it. It's crazy. It's like 60% of my eardrum, the surface area,
Yeah.
fell out completely.
It's okay because it was a
my
drummer
God.
and he didn't really need it.
Bugger nuts. Like, oh crap. It's like when you swear when you do. Of course, this is Urban Dictionary.
Good.
Yeah.
I had an Urban
when you
Dictionary
do
word.
something wrong or hurt your sorry lil ass.
Oh, bugger nuts.
I think it originates from Angry Kids TV show. Ross Fowler says it a hell of a lot.
I like bugger lugs better.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, all
That's
right.
why I was in
Carry-
the
Sometimes
Moving
Urban
on.
Dictionary is hit or miss.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
That wasn't as good.
It's not as good as Bugger Lugs.
Bugger lugs is
Yeah.
cuter, except it's dark. I'm sorry.
It's awesome.
It is a little
kinda
dark.
dark.
It's Australia. You know, I went to Australia
yeah.
once, and they said, have you
I'm
ever
gonna
been,
fuck you in the ear.
he said, have you ever been convicted of a crime? And I said, I didn't know I needed to be allowed in the country again. But
You want to try that? You want to try that delivery one
nah,
more time?
I've already.
Okay, here we go.
It's always best if you
Yeah.
screw it up the first time.
Or explain it.
Yeah.
I want to clear up some things since my last email that you bugger lugs were quick to get confused about.
Oral sex.
Yeah.
C.A. Dave says.
With an A.
Yes.
Yes.
My God, we've got like 4 more pages.
Go ahead.
Right.
Point the first. Adelaide is the capital of South Australia. Yes, we have those down under,
You have
down
capitals?
here. Yeah, we aren't just all living in the bushland waiting. I know, I saw a drawing. It has you all are in the south. And then, like the rest of the tiny bit of population is way.
You're
in
all
it.
clinging to the coast like
Yeah.
ants.
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the middle is a giant
Yeah.
desert that tries to kill you.
Yeah, and the first time
It's a lot like
Antarctica
this-
drops a giant chunk of ice in, y'all are in trouble.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot like sort of like driving up the 5 and like
Yeah.
the in between LA and San Francisco. It's a vast desert
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
and
It is.
farmland.
Well, farmland.
Yeah.
It's not so much desert.
But they're not all living in the bushland waiting for something as exciting as a Wolf Creek incident to come along and brighten up our days.
Wolf Creek.
Mundanity.
I remember Picnic at Hanging Rock. Wolf
Oh
Creek
my
is,
God, I love that movie.
That's really.
It is.
I have no idea what happens, but
It's
creepy as hell.
intense. Okay, I got a game I want to run that reminds me of that movie.
Right.
Anyway, but it has a bit of a problem of not quite having the infrastructure to support a bigger populace like that of Melbourne,
Melbourne.
we'll
or
say
Sydney.
Or Sydney.
Because this many people tend to, after they have finished their higher education, move to the East Coast in search of jobs, as there sure as shit isn't much in Adelaide. At least that's what I've seen. Point the second. The setup we have here for Pop Club SA is a simple
South
one.
Australia.
South Australia is a simple one. $5 gets you 3 hours of access to everything we have in store, which is tables and games on our library for you to enjoy. Yes, that's Australian dollar dues.
Australian dollar dues. Dollar dues.
Yes.
I think we call those dollarettes.
Dollarettes. Dollar dues.
Dollar
Dollar
days. It is. It's dollar
They have a
days.
really cute name for their little casino things too, where they do. Yeah, and I can't remember what
It's
it is.
Australian dollar days.
Because they're everywhere. Would be even cheaper for you American bastards and your strong currency. And now, on to my email. Take a drink.
We're out of beer. We
Take a
So that was only
Yeah.
the preface.
Yeah. I was so happy to hear that you in the chat room were wanting to hear about both of my horror stories, so strap yourselves in
Here we go.
as I try my best to
Love
recount
this.
the deeds of the past for your entertainment.
This is insane.
The horror of the neckbeard.
Triggering.
at
We've been told that
a
that's
game
triggering.
con.
Yes.
Neckbeard is triggering.
Triggering.
Okay,
Yes.
No, it's fatbeard.
Redacted.
Fat-
Neckbeard's okay. Fatbeard is not.
Don't
Yeah.
say fat beard again. Why do you say
Fatbeard's-
fat beard? It's a
Fat
trigger
beard is
warning.
kind of douchey, actually.
It's-
yeah.
I'm saying fat beard. Well, I am a fat beard.
Well, don't say fat beard. It's
It's
apparently triggering people when you say fat beard.
No.
No, but I'm saying it in the sense that we shouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every time
I
you say
would-
fat beard,
I would
it's
sign
going
up
to
for
piss
that.
people off.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think saying fat beard that often is gonna piss me off.
You just said it.
I
Did
don't.
I?
Yeah. You said it like 4 times.
What?
You're such a
Neckbeard. Okay. Avcon.
But see, what about neckbeard? I mean, I was thinking about
Actually-
growing a neckbeard.
Well,
so that-
actually-
I was going to cosplay a neckbeard. Wouldn't that be awesome?
You
I
could
could
get a
totally
ne-
do
a
it. I
neck
could just not
merkin?
shave this stuff.
To get a neck merkin.
I was going to shave here.
Good.
Merkin.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. That would be awesome.
You ever stood in a hallway and a bunch of doorways fly open? That's what that
That's a
sentence
neck
says to me.
work.
I'm like, I don't know which down row to go. There's so many places to go
But
with that. It's so awesome.
I was going to shave my cheeks and my burns, but I wasn't going to shave here. I was going to grow just
Just
this
the
stuff
giant
right
neck
here, which I've never grown.
Yeah.
But I want to see if I can have like a true, like pure neck beard.
Sure.
Really? You're going to cultivate one?
I was thinking about it.
At some point, you don't know where your jawline and your
Right.
and your neck stops, because I get that too. You know, it's like double chin kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
You're like, where do you
Yeah.
where do you stop? With,
Are you
how do you
still
shape the
you're
beard?
dating, right? I don't know if I would do that. I don't know.
Leave it to Gina. Go straight to the point.
Yeah.
You're dating, right?
I
don't think you
I'm
should
not
do
saying
that.
people are shallow.
No, but it's going to be a lot of left swipes.
Yeah, left swipe, not a mistake. That man has
There's a
hair.
lot of left swipes
Yeah.
anyway. You should read my profile.
Oh my God.
I will help you with that shit.
That should be the title of your autobiography. There's a lot of left swipes.
Okay, this AvCon anime video game connection is the biggest game convention in Adelaide, housing somewhere between 20 to 22,000 people on the weekend of mid-July. Its main focus is anime and video games, if the title didn't give that away. And it is here that I met one of the worst players I've ever seen.
Dun dun dun.
I am part of the group of people that runs RPGs in the games rooms, which is a separate room from the main convention floor room. I have made it my mission to bring obscure to the forefront and not just have people dabbling in the Pathfinder
Nice.
Society
Yep.
and Adventurers League adventures, but to have them try out Call of Cthulhu and World of Darkness games.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Hoken101 just logged in to listen. He just woke up in Sweden.
Oh,
In Sweden.
wow.
Favongore.
Oh, no problem. Good morning. I don't know how to say
morning.
that in your language, but
Favongore.
good morning.
Yeah.
Guten Tag is German.
Yeah.
Yes.
So not even close to
A little too far
Yeah,
south.
yeah, exactly. Sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm sitting here, sitting there on my first day, eagerly waiting for some players to show up. Pre-reg for this year was a little slow in comparison to the year before, so I had no players. And then up walks Neckbeard, his young brother, and their friend, who the only detail I was able to find out was that they were 13. Red flags blaring.
How can you have a neckbeard at
As
13?
Neckbeard is
Oh.
23
Okay,
and his
sorry,
bro
sorry.
is 17.
Yeah. So the neckbeard is
yeah.
23. He brings his little
17.
brother who's 17 and their friend who is
How
13.
are you in
He
23-year-old
waddles in with his
Neckbeard?
posse.
His bro.
His bro.
I decided to go grab a friend of mine whose table wasn't able to run his game of Shadowrun, and another regular from one of my tables who had a spare few hours. So, the stage is set. Call of Cthulhu, 7th edition, and 5 players.
One neckbeard.
One, yeah.
In a world.
I start, in a world.
Is that
now
okay how we
showing
make
in
fun of neckbeards?
Kernan,
Is that
Will
okay?
County.
I don't
know.
we're
You're
not.
not
It's,
born a neckbeard. It's
okay.
I mean, you're deciding not to shave from here down.
Is that even a thing?
Yes,
it is.
Yes,
Okay.
when I was in journalism school at Cal State Long Beach, there
Yeah.
was a dude there who he always kind of smelled like poop, but he also did not shave at all.
Huh.
Anywhere at all.
Yeah.
He did not shave, and his beard went past his shirt collar.
Yeah.
Well past.
So
I
the
suppose-
chest hair and the beard
They
Match.
meld.
Merge.
Yeah.
Shaving is
Yeah.
kind of not fun. It's tedious, right? So I guess you have to decide between what's more tedious, the shaving or the itchy neck
I'm not
beard.
letting the guy off the hook. He actually had a giant neck that he decided to decorate with hair.
Yeah, it's a choice.
I'm,
Did you say neck
it's
and
not.
hair?
It's not a choice. Well, I edited myself in mid fly there.
Yeah.
Like,
But
the thing that
this dude was creepy.
Yeah.
He had
Interesting.
a freezer full of ants. What? I swear to God, at some point he did not realize that his power had gone out, and the meat in his freezer had rotted, and it was attracting ants. And then the power came
How do
back
you know
on or
that?
something because we went to his house for a party, and he had. This guy's house was like a nightmare. It was truly like a nightmare. I'm not going to say what his name was.
Oh my gosh!
But
yeah,
he
please
was
don't.
he was a part of the journalism department. He was one of the what do you call them? The columnists for the
Yeah.
the opinion columns. I was
Yeah.
one of them, and he was one of the other columnists. And he had another guy who was in my part of the journalism department who had moved in with him and had kind of cleaned up a portion of the house for a party. So he had I think a Halloween party. and he was showing me some of the stuff. He's like, look, come here, look at the freezer. And he opens the freezer up, and there's this band of frozen ants
He
inside the
showed
freezer.
you that.
Yes. And they had a bathroom. They had 2 bathrooms in the house. They were renting a house. The second bathroom, which was the one just off of this other roommate's bedroom, they had put police tape across it and said,
Don't even.
if the other bathroom's occupied and you got to go, you're going to want to.
At least somebody had the sense to
Wow.
know that. I mean, the ants were the least of the part. The fact that the bathroom was quarantined should have told you.
He had 2 pieces of art on the wall. One was the scream. The second one was the New York Times front page, "We've caught the son of Sam."
Nice.
That was the second one framed. That was it.
That's not a giant red flag about
No,
sociopathy at all.
no. Yeah.
The weirdest thing was the dead ants in the freezer, because I mean, literally, there were hundreds of thousands of them.
Wow.
Because the heck they wanted to show them off.
No, the dude didn't want to show him off. His roommate, who was a very well-adjusted, normal person, said, "I'm like, this is like kind of a creepy house." He's like, "Oh no, come here, look at this."
It gets worse. Yeah. Here, smell this. Yeah.
No, but we opened the freezer, and it's a regular freezer.
I live here and I haven't cleaned the freezer because it creeps me out
There's
too.
this band of frozen ants inside of it that had made it inside, and then it turned back on, and they started freezing. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I'm
is weird.
I'm
He
gonna.
was a neckbeard.
I have this forum to reach what I'm sure are millions of viewers. So I'm gonna say tens of viewers, gamers. Look, don't lean into the stereotype. Don't. Please stop. Clean your house. Clean yourself. Don't be an asshole.
Shave your neck.
Shave your neck. Learn about grooming habits, and stop correcting everybody. Even though I'm correcting you right now, stop correcting everybody. These are the things that nobody likes about gamers, even other gamers. We don't like you when you're like this. Have some hygiene and some self-respect. It goes a long way.
And he did smell like poop.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
smelled like poop.
And
he wore suits all the time too.
Yeah, and this is a choice. This is something you don't have to. If you have a glandular condition where you just naturally smell like poop, then I'm really sorry, and I will be your friend, and I will
And
suffer
I'm not
through
laughing.
it.
I'm really not.
But if you smell like poop because you just don't have time to
Wait,
shower
that's an
because you're
option?
grinding WoW, like, no.
That's just swamp ass.
That's swamp ass. That's swamp ass. Get yourself in the shower. Okay? Thank you.
And
That's
burn
my
that
public
chair.
service.
At least wet nap that shit.
Right? Yeah, wet nap it. Like, yeah. Oh my God! Buy some baby wipes.
You know, I understand why people don't.
All right.
It's like I stepped in through the wardrobe and I've
during
ended
the
up
summer
in.
months,
Started with beers.
And
during the summer months, it gets
I'm with
kind
you,
of
Gina.
prickly, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, I would think like the massive hair would feel even less comfortable than the.
See, I don't know. That's what I want to try.
Can we pick up, please?
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
Go ahead.
You're right. It is my fault.
I'm itchy. Ew, that conversation.
I know. Yeah.
Bugs and itchy.
Great.
Okay. Call of Cthulhu 7th edition in 5 players. I start describing the background to this adventure that the party are cops living in some nondescript town in Canada, and they are bracing for the coldest blizzard on record. Without missing a beat, Neckbeard points to the map I had drawn up and says, "Oh, he drew up the box factory? That's where the cultists have to be."
Actually.
I look a little concerned and confused as he begins to barrage me with questions about the game. So I can have, like, all the guns? Is there duct tape in the factory? Because I want to use to patch up the interdimensional portals the cultists are making.
Sure.
Are moose common to the area? Which I give a tentative yes. Good, because I want to grab one and attach shotguns to it so we can charge it towards the cultists. At this point, I snap a little.
Moose make fantastic gun platforms.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They have all those tangs and the things.
Right. Yeah.
Watch me pull a rabbit out of this hat.
Never works. Okay, tell me how you are going to attach them. And if you do, how are you going to shoot them?
You missed all these people this whole time.
No
Amongst
idea.
your friends.
And then what? You have a gun-mounted moose running off with your shotgun. After being fired into the nondescript location, the fact that he had answers for all these questions and was sitting there grinning his face off the whole time as he felt superior to all the other players at the table for his ingenuity.
He has an answer to how are you going to keep the moose from running off with your shotgun?
Actually, I have pheromones that are...
First problem.
I'm wearing moose
Yeah.
funk.
Right? Yeah. I love how he's like, first problem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but there have been so
And
many
it's
already.
in giant capitals right there.
I still hadn't started the adventure. All of this speculation and tangent bullshit had occurred over the course of 10 minutes as he just kept going and going. Worst part is that he was fictionally assuming that there would be cultists, but in this adventure, I hadn't written any cultists. From what I can gather, he was trying to pull an old man Henderson and quote unquote win Call of Cthulhu. After finally getting him under control, we start the adventure. They are called to a house for a missing child's case. On the entire drive over, he is trying to use every single skill his character has to make any sort of tactical advantage he could. The crowning moment for him was when his character, the forensics guy, had a near religious attachment to his calculator, and that it was a +1 calculator religious symbol.
I like that. I like
That
the.
actually
I like
kinda
the
makes
funny
it
+1 because
I
it's
know.
calculator.
Yeah.
I like that.
Myself and Shadowrun GM look at each other with bewilderment, as +1 doesn't mean anything in Call of Cthulhu, but I roll with it.
It's a pun. I get that.
Somebody want to take over? I don't want to take
sure.
over
What?
for
No,
a while, or
no, you're doing fine.
yeah, because there's like 3 more pages.
It got so bad, I had
It
people
is a lot.
rolling for their specialty areas,
Yeah.
but I was unable to actually give them the information they had rolled because
no.
Neckbeard, he capitalizes neck, was shouting to me to get me to acknowledge his rolling and what it got him. The real breaking point was when I had to pull a stew and go to the bathroom to collect my thoughts. Occurred when they finally get to the crime scene. They noticed that a child had been abducted and that there was a small Christmas ornament left behind. 17-year-old says, it must be Faye. As the party agrees as it's a possibility, but none of the characters would possibly know that, so they continue investigating until Neckbeard proclaims, so is my calculator actually cold iron as well?
Of course. No.
Can I take over from here?
Oh, go ahead.
Enough! I had enough! As I told him, no, it is not. Firstly, it is impossible because I could think of no way for you to actually acquire something like this. Secondly, iron is a conducting metal, so fat lot of good your calculator is doing, and the calculator, and you are metagaming! Your character doesn't know any of this. It isn't actually Faye. You are fighting. Anyway, so I won't help for you to fight this point either. So, no! When he started to backtrack and take away control from the other players, one of them said, look, I'm this close to getting my gun out to get my gun out to get him in line. But he was ready for this. Actually, I want to have spent my last night changing all the bullets in their guns to blanks. And then it happened.
Oh my God.
I gave into the dark side.
Uh-oh.
Adam.
Sure, you can do that. Everyone checked their guns to see that no, they had not been changed, but the poor receptionist they had left back at the police station was not so lucky. When shit started hitting the fan and zombie-like entities were littering the streets, they made their way back to the police station to find the front door had been caved in. They watched without sound on the CCTV cameras as that the zombies had forced their way inside, and as the receptionist girl reached for her gun, they sadly were all blanks. So they got to watch her get eaten.
Dun, dun, dun.
Adventure pretty much unsalvageable at this point, as I have run out of time, only a 2.5 hour slot. So the big bad showed up to eat the party. Neckbeard's character goes insane at the sight of it and hides up a blanket he was
Awesome.
able to wrangle. Other party members run off to safety into snow as he is slashed. His final question for the day. Can I roll luck to have the blanket fly up and choke the creature to death, killing it after it kills me?
Oh my god.
He giggled as he had giggled throughout the entire game. Facepalm. In hindsight, I feel bad for letting the game go this way. Thankfully, I ran the same adventure again the day after with some more proactive players, which led to a much more satisfying conclusion. Take a massive sip of drink as I go to story the second.
I have to say, I've had wrench throwers show up at cons too.
Oh.
It is rough. There's just nothing you can do.
Well, there's good wrench throwers and bad wrench throwers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have bad wrench throwers. So let me tell this one, which is they just want to be the center of attention, and there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do.
Yep.
You're in for a 4-hour ride of babysitting this high-maintenance player.
You're talking about Steven.
No, I'm actually not. But you're in for a 4-hour ride of babysitting this guy, and there's nothing you can do, and it ruins the adventure for you, for the other
Yeah.
players at the table that really want a good adventure.
Yeah.
They signed up for a good time, and this person dominates everything. I understand wanting to have a dramatic character. I understand wanting to be have a flair, having a moment, but bring it back.
It's a moment.
A moment.
It's a moment.
That's
Yeah.
that thing. Yeah.
You have to realize as a player, you are sharing the spotlight with other players.
Right.
That I think that's an interesting topic because we've talked a lot about wrench throwing or people who are able to kind of propel story and be proactive. But I do think there's a line between positive wrench throwing and
Well, there's a total balance.
and destructive.
Steven could show up at a game, and if he wanted to, could dominate the entire game. I could show up at a game and dominate the entire game. But
Yeah.
I don't. Steven doesn't, and I think it has to do with a certain amount of etiquette and social appeal, which is
And
shut the
giving
fuck
other
up and let
players
other
some breathing
people
space.
give me
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be a douche.
don't be a douche, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and keep reading.
Yeah.
The horror of why I stopped RPGs. This was
Dun, dun,
with the first group I ever role played with, mates from my neighborhood, from my high school. Now, in their defense, we were all shitty teens at the time. But in
Shitty teens.
hindsight,
I love that.
they're
Right,
shitty
yeah.
teens. Shitty
Yeah.
teens are shitty.
That's
Yeah.
that's a Monster Heart thing.
Right, yeah,
That should
shitty
be
teens.
shitty teen.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But in
Monster
hindsight,
Hearts, shitty teens.
there needs to be Monster Hearts, the parents. I want to see that game.
By the way, do you know how the Archie comics is taking off right now?
Oh my god,
It's blowing
Riverdale.
up. It's
the show
Yeah.
is amazing, and it's basically based on that.
and the whole
it's-
comics is going up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sabrina is going to be
Yeah, I
huge,
hear that,
huge. And if there's a Monster Hearts game I'm going to play, it's going to be in the Sabrina world.
Oh, and let me tell you, because I talked about this with some other people. Like watching the TV show Riverdale is a masterclass in how to run Monster Hearts.
It actually is.
Like, it is.
actually is.
Like I can watch an episode and I can tell you exactly what move is getting rolled at which time and what hard move the GM is doing. Like it is like just like if you're a Riverdale fan and you know Monster Hearts, watch it from that perspective.
Actually,
You will be like,
I'm going to do you
oh.
one better. If you don't get Monster Hearts like I do,
Yeah.
watch Riverdale. You'll get Monster Hearts.
Yes, yeah. Riverdale is the end goal of Monster Hearts.
Yep.
Just if they like drank some blood or
Actually,
ate some people.
if you don't have the patience to actually watch a television show, buy an Archie comic.
yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Allie loves those comics.
They're
Oh,
awesome.
yeah?
They're awesome.
I've heard they're really amazing.
Dan
Yeah.
DiCarlo and the art, and what? Really? That's a genre
new
you
ones.
should explore.
I know,
guarantee
it's-
you
yeah.
fall down that rabbit hole, you will
Yeah,
spend so much
yeah.
money.
Oh yeah. I'm a recovering comic book addict.
Yeah,
So
me
I've
too.
been off the juice for like 10 years now, and I got the Marvel Unlimited app, and so I was
Me too.
catching up.
Yeah.
But I'm still
see how
like,
you're slapping
yeah,
your
I'm like,
arms.
yeah, like, give Daddy his stuff. Oh God, yeah.
I'm just
X-Men.
looking vicariously
Yeah.
now. I can't actually buy any comics
Yeah.
anymore because once
Yeah.
you start,
Well,
So I'm caught up to like 2014 now, but I've still got like 3 years of the entire X-Men
Yeah.
universe that I got to get caught up on before I can read anything new.
it's 2018, full year.
Oh my God.
here's your solution.
Uh-huh.
You just wait for them to get collected in a book and then buy the book.
I did that,
That
and it was
helps. It helps
That's
a
even
lot.
Yeah.
Because then
It's
you're
like
just like,
nothing
no,
else.
Yeah.
I will wait for
I-
5 years and then yes,
Yeah.
I got the book now. I can read the whole thing.
I tried, but I have like so
Yeah.
many books now.
No, there's yeah. There's a lot of stuff to read.
I have a problem. It's a problem.
All right,
Anyway,
carry on.
Okay.
But in hindsight, I think that some of the players, and especially GM, were just a bit more dickish than needed. First game I ever played with them was Fallout PNP game.
Pen and paper.
Pen and paper game.
Yeah.
I played as a super mutant that had the strength score so high he once punched someone so hard they spontaneously combusted.
Nice.
Good on you.
That's kind of what super mutants do.
Right.
That's
Right,
kind of
yeah.
all they do.
Yeah.
Now the fun thing about role playing is that it is like sex. You don't know what good is until you've had it.
So true.
So many years I assumed
Gotta
that what
chase it.
happened at these tables was standard practice, so I didn't want to join in. Problem the first. My super mutant had such a low agility that he could either move up to 3 yards or punch once in a turn, but not both. When I said, wow, that sucks, can I maybe change that? The GM was strong to say no, and that I should have read all of the rules
Yes!
to this game I had no idea
It's entirely
about.
your fault that you made a flawed character your first time out. Ha
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Punish
yes,
you for the
it is
gotcha.
totally gotcha.
Yeah.
There had been, too bad there was not a rule book for you to read
Yes,
and
if
memorize.
I mean, sure, if you had asked me, I probably would have not made you straight. No, I'm lying.
There were a lot of fun stories to this campaign that I do remember fondly. First time is always awkward but memorable. That's true. Problem the second. The GM started saying that if we didn't treat him well in real life, he would punish our characters in game. Yes, this is the fuckhead why I started this podcast. Right
Yes.
fucking here.
At least he said it out loud.
If you don't
hilarious,
treat me
though.
with respect, I will kill you in game.
Yeah, the game sort of slowed down after that.
Really?
Yes.
Shock.
That's funny.
The next few months would see us.
I'm still wait. I'm still wrapping my brain around the fact that he had the balls to say no. It wasn't just implied. Like every time you
Having
Yeah,
too much
right.
balls is
You're
not
just-
this guy's
we're just
problem.
like
Yes,
passive
yeah.
aggressive, like
right.
I've noticed that whenever I say anything bad about you, my character does. Oh, really? Oh. No, he says, "Well, if you don't treat me nice, I'm going to kill your character."
Right.
I'm like
Yeah.
full out, like,
Yeah.
okay, right?
Wait, did
Where
I
I
say
would've
that out
been.
loud? Did
What?
did I say that out loud?
Right? Yeah.
Oopsies.
Yeah.
Man,
It's always been
Yeah.
an understood part
It's
of the social
called-
contract.
Yeah, it's called foreshadowing.
Yes.
I don't know. That might be a trigger warning for me because that's enough to make me
I'm
mad.
just going to pretend you rolled high on your
Right.
perception.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next few months would see
He
us.
actually said
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The next few months would see us trying many other systems, like the Skyrim game, where I was punished for not knowing enough about the world because I couldn't afford the gaming system
Aw.
strong enough to actually play the game. I thought it was fine till
till.
just make.
I thought it was
drink
fine. I
while
think
you're
it's
writing
a
this
comma.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine, comma, I'll just
make a cat,
Oh, all right.
a folk gadget mage. Oh, the GM hasn't finished the magic system for this homebrew game, so I can't do anything but stab people with my cheap dagger. First session starts, and we have all our gear stolen, and now we don't even have that shitty dagger to fall back on. This was when I started coming up with reasons not to come to games. At one of the sessions, I missed out on my character was apparently killed off screen by an explosion caused by another PC. So the GM told me, sorry, but yeah, you can't really come back in unless you want to make a new character. Any attempt at backstory for my characters was laughed at by the players for being super cliche and shitty, while they had 4-page backstories written with the skill you'd expect from a higher education class student that they all were. This is where my, at the time undiscovered, anxiety started getting the better of me, and I really didn't feel comfortable at the table as I was in the lower English class and didn't do drama like they did as a subject.
Okay, wait. So he yet undiscovered anxiety. I don't know if you had anxiety before then, but this is
They may have caused
exactly
it. They may have caused it.
the kind of thing.
This is the kind of thing that
Yeah.
causes people to have anxiety.
for sure.
Whether you're in an office, whether you're working in
Yep.
Hollywood, I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing.
Yeah.
is a classic case of anxiety.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
Thank you, James V. 1971. The guy with the pizza should have played in this game. You're right.
Right.
One chance. The last chance for me to try again. A D20 Call of Cthulhu game. Oh, why are you doing that? Where the GM asked me for a character idea. I gave him a middle-aged professor of linguistics pacifist.
All right. And
Much
you
to
know
my
what? Great Call of Cthulhu character.
Yeah,
Totally
absolutely.
great.
Much to my surprise, he loved it and said he had the perfect slotting for me into the story as a translator for a book they had found in a previous adventure.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
right?
in.
And then it all fell apart.
Oh.
Didn't start too strong when one of the player's girlfriends decided that in her 20s, her male bisexual private eye was going to grope my character with a reach around when he wasn't looking. Got worse. I told them that I was a pacifist and the first adventure had us pinned down by rednecks in a swamp, and they handed my character a shotgun and told me to open fire. The look of frustration when I told them, but my character wouldn't do that. He doesn't like violence, was met with, but you need to be shooting so we can be the most effective in this combat.
No.
You're playing with the wrong group, sir.
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
you play with the group you have,
Right.
not the group you
Yep.
want.
The final straw was met when I went to the bathroom for a breather. I thought it was okay till I just sit back and
Yeah. I thought it was okay. I'll just sit back and...
let them take over the RP and just follow along the
breathing.
story. When I returned to the table, everyone was suspiciously quiet and giving me funny looks. I couldn't figure it out, so we continued with the story, with them casually glancing over and trying to hold back the biggest laughs of their lives. And then I saw it under my chair, under my character skills: history +6, language other +6, swimming +6, prostitution +99. And they had changed my character sheet name to the Catfolk from the other game, and in a big quote marks had the words "The Exile," as that is what they call me for not being up to date on every new release of games that they had the money to afford. I waited till the end of the session, went home, and got all the way to her room before crying into a pillow. What
Oh
the
my
Yeah.
god!
Those are not your friends.
Oh, this is like Welcome
Those
to
are-
the Dollhouse, the
Yeah.
RPG
Those
version.
are awful fucking people.
They're terrible.
I'm so making a Monster Heart character with this as a motivation.
Crying into the pillow.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That actually would be very appropriate.
This sucks.
It could really
this
work.
sucks on so many
Those
levels.
people are cockbites.
Yeah, yeah.
This
They're
is part- this is-
horrible.
This is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yes, it is absolutely, it is the problem. And to me, like, not just with gaming, this is the problem with the world in general. Stop being assholes to people.
Don't be bullies.
Don't.
Bullies are
Like, how hard is it? Just have a little bit of fucking empathy.
Right?
And say, I wouldn't want to be treated like that. I'm not going to treat them like that. It's not hard, people.
what?
It is.
Jackass.
People
And these
smell
stuck-up
weakness.
assholes still live in fucking Adelaide.
Right, yeah.
Sorry.
These are the gamers, the
Man.
teenage gamers of South Adelaide, Australia, and yet they're still finding somebody to be an asshole to.
It's not only in
It's
Adelaide.
just-
They're here
Yeah,
too.
they're every. Yeah.
They're here too.
yeah.
I would say that the gamer group, and especially back when we first started, was really, really a clique. And it's like you had to qualify.
We
to
were
be
circling our wagons so we didn't get shoved in lockers
Well,
and beat
yeah.
up. And,
And
Yeah.
what happened is we had an anti-clique, but it became a clique in and
yes,
of
it
itself.
did. It did. It did.
And I think that still kind of exists. And it's awkward and hard, in
Yeah.
this day and age when you want to include people. Well, no, you should. And absolutely include everybody.
Yeah.
And you,
Except
and you
rules
profess to be people.
We're gonna drop
Oh,
that.
we include everybody. We've been outcasts our whole lives. And yet, then this stuff happens.
Yeah, it's true.
But there is a silver lining to this story,
Yay.
thank God.
I know.
After 2 years of fear of not wanting to try to role play, my friend, a friend of mine, Kevin, got me to join in his group that had a much more positive outlook on fun and gaming. 6 months later, I tried my hand at running games, and it turns out I'm actually quite good at running horror games.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yay.
You've lived through enough of it.
2.5 years since then.
Drawing on my experience as a gamer, I'm very excellent at psychological horror.
Neck-Thulu.
Right?
Someone, I actually stole that from someone in the chat room. Thank you,
still
chat
love
room.
it.
I'm using you. The running games. It turns out I'm actually quite good at running horror games. 2.5 years since then, and I have never looked back with people rushing to join the wacky games that I run.
Yay.
From Scooby-Doo Cthulhu to
My
D&D
fault,
characters
yeah.
entering the real world to Legend of Five Rings, Star Wars, just to
Wow.
name a few. You know, there actually is in the back of the 4th edition. I think it's in the 4th edition L5R book. There is samurais in space. There's
yeah?
a little
Nice.
That's
chapter
what
on
Jedi are.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
samurais in space.
Yeah.
And look at the robes.
it, but not the honor.
Well,
A little too much of the honor, maybe.
or not enough, depending
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Uh,
The whole world's going to hell.
There's-
Let's just go sit on a swamp. Yeah.
Was able to
Oh,
open.
Yoda?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Yoda
We'll
shaming?
save this for
I
later.
Yoda shaming.
no, I am a Luke hater shamer.
Oh.
I shame people who hate Luke in The Last Jedi because he did exactly what Yoda and
Yeah, he
Obi-Wan
did.
did. He's
Yeah, he
like,
did.
oh, shit got real.
Yep.
I'm gonna go hide. Meanwhile, Leia,
Yep.
badass motherfucker,
Right?
kicking ass, fighting the whole time,
Yeah.
never stopping, never giving up.
See,
Yeah.
Leia's the hero.
I
Yeah.
love the Luke arc.
I do too.
How
I
he
thought
goes,
it was
like,
great.
the young horrible actor who like learns how to act later on in the movies.
That's the
and
Mark
then-
Wait,
Hamill
that's
one.
not his fault. He's actually a
True.
very good actor. He actually made George Lucas's terrible writing and bad direction make sense. That's not his fault.
Converters.
That's
That's adorable.
of the 300 takes. That's the
Okay.
one Lucas decided he was going to use.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mark Hamill did it better.
But the arc of the
Yes.
character, and when he gets to the end, and he's like, "No, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Too much." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I loved that arc.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hamill hated it.
Apparently so, yeah. But oh, sorry. God, I'm so bad about like just grab. I'm clutching my pearls, everybody. So, but
I
like,
should probably actually go and see that movie before
yeah,
you spoil
yeah,
it.
really good. But
Darth Vader dies.
but like like it is what happens to an idealist who gets beaten by the inevitable like soul crushing reality of of this horrible place.
It's a lot of modifiers.
I really-
I know, right?
You really,
Yeah.
you really feel attached to the character?
Really good at the adjective.
And I also really like the interplay between Rey and Kylo Ren.
yeah, I
That
do
story,
too.
where that story arc
Yeah.
works, I
Yeah.
thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't
Right.
actually seen the movie. I really do.
I didn't say
You didn't
anything
see
that,
it.
that.
No,
yeah.
it's not spoilers. I just really. I
Yeah.
can't.
And I'm
I
also
can- I can
I'm looking forward to
conjecture.
Solo too, because Solo
Yeah.
looks dark.
Yeah.
It looks like Rogue One.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
fucking loved Rogue
It's
One.
Right?
going to
I
be
do
American
too, yeah.
Graffiti, though.
I like
'Cause
that.
It's going to be American Graffiti. It's about his buddies and everything falling apart, and that's what makes Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
yeah.
It looks dark though.
It's American Graffiti. Go watch American Graffiti.
I have watched American Graffiti.
It's that.
Is it Diner?
I have
or
not
American
seen one
Graffiti?
laser sword in American Graffiti, nor have I seen a starship.
He is Bob Felfa.
Bob Feffa?
Bob Felfa.
Bob Feffa?
Bob.
Don't want a large
Felfa.
felfa. What a
I've said
goddamn
it.
leader
I've
of
said it 3
cola.
times. Bob Felfa was the guy that did the drag race, and it was the Harrison Ford character in American
Yeah.
Graffiti.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's actually going to be.
But Lando!
Well, all right.
And I wanted to see Lando in the last movie. That
Yeah.
pisses me off that he wasn't in it, because he's still alive.
Yeah, maybe he'll show up in the final in
Maybe.
Yeah.
episode 9.
Well, that's rolling the dice. He's got to be like 90,
'cause
right?
There was some Cloud
Well,
City
yeah.
and
Yeah, maybe.
and the Ray, like pick up the.
You can't, that's like
But I mean-
that's like casting a 90-year-old as Dumbledore in your first film.
But I mean, is Billy D. Williams that much older than Harrison Ford was?
No,
I don't
but Billy
know.
D. Williams has much less intellectual capacity anymore. He's
Oh, is
he's
he?
he did a lot of. I've heard and
I-
seen interviews. There's
Yeah.
not much left.
Oh, that's a shame.
And
Yeah.
even Harrison Ford, there's not much left.
Yeah.
He's a lot
What?
of muttering and growling. Right
Oh,
now.
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I loved the
The new Blade Runner.
the Blade Runner.
I loved
thought it was
it.
fantastic.
Okay, all right. So you've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I watched the whole
Spoilers.
thing. Spoilers. Skip ahead 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt very cheap. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, I'm like, all right. So when's the movie start? It was one giant prequel. He gets up to the point where he meets his daughter and everything, and you're like, okay, now we start the movie, right? Now it gets. I sat here for 3 hours to watch you start the movie.
Oh, see, I thought
it was about different shit than that.
No, it really wasn't.
It was cells.
I thought the movie could have ended any time where the end was. I thought the film could have ended within 30 minutes of that at any point.
Yeah.
I predicted
I didn't need that.
I predicted the plot of that film before the film started.
Well,
when that film first started.
Awesome
no, that's not it. I sat around and went. Even on the chat room, I went. She has a kid, and then I'm waiting for this whole thing to play out for 3 hours, and when the movie finally ends, you're like, so now we get to move Harrison's character forward? No, we don't. It's not
about Harrison's character.
Yeah. No, it is. It's about bringing him back into it, and then they start.
Maybe they're going to make another one.
Well, they're not, because the movie tanked.
I totally think it's about other stuff.
What's the other stuff?
The identity of the dude, the regular character.
Well,
not literally the dude. It's like, hey man, what's up? No, the other character. I'm terrible with character names.
But other than being Ryan Gosling, he was not interesting at all.
No, not at all.
I got nothing from him. Ryan Gosling is hot. I'll watch him do anything, like read the phone book or stand in the rain.
And all that stuff was tread upon in the first movie.
Right. It was almost the exact same story arc.
Yeah, explicitly.
No.
He says...
What the Blade Runner
when he's killing his father... Anyway, you know what? I could wax rhapsodic about Blade Runner for hours because I love that movie. I truly do.
I think it's horribly overrated.
And I actually
the original or the
original?
I love the original.
I do think the original.
I'm the opposite.
Because I watched it again because I'm like, oh, it's available on Amazon. I bought both of them.
Yeah.
I bought the ultimate cut or whatever. Yeah. The shit cut is what I would call it. And I watched the entire thing.
The directors.
I found the first movie to be a slog to get through, and I enjoyed the second one.
Here's the thing you may not. Here's the thing you may not know, and it may flip you, which is William Gibson was in the middle of writing Neuromancer, and he was stuck, and he was struggling. He went to go see Blade Runner, and he went, "Oh my God, this is the thing I've been going for."
I like,
and he came back and he rewrote Neuromancer, and everybody says Neuromancer inspired Blade Runner, but no, it's the other way around. Blade Runner inspired.
Well, Blade Runner was based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yes, but it was the visuals, and it was because have you ever read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? It has nothing to do with all those.
I've never read anything by Philip K.
It's fine, but
I'd rather watch movies based on this shit.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I loved about the and we'll end it here because otherwise it's just going to be black or started. Which is it's definitely a love letter. The second movie is definitely a love letter to Ridley Scott and to Blade Runner. It is just like, I love you, man. Yeah, I love your genre. I love your looks. And that's all it was.
See, the visual stuff from Blade Runner, I think, is fantastic. Yeah. And I think they did a much better job in the first film than in the second film.
I agree.
The second film, I like the fact that there's a progression of the degradation of society. And you get to see, and shit gets really fucking horrible. In the second film.
But it's actually pretty bad in the first one too, if you think about it.
It's pretty bad, but it's not like the giant fucking rubble pile that is San Diego.
Right.
That to me was like
smaller.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
It was awful.
It was so
awful.
just like gut wrenching.
But the visuals in the first film I think are fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
Visually, I love the film.
They still hold up.
I think the story is kind of.
They still hold up. What the whole question reality thing? Anyway, it's a Frankenstein story.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought like the new one could have been about an hour shorter, and it could have been about 100 decibels lower in volume, and would have been.
They could have ended the film before Harrison Ford even showed up.
I just would have liked to have it actually have a point at the end. Instead of it being one, I felt like I'm watching The Hobbit, and I'm like, now we get the other three stories.
Why does it have to have a point? Maybe the point is there is no point.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's just like life.
You call yourself a journalist major. Really?
Life has no point.
Right? You turn in a story like that to your editor, what are they going to do?
There is a
lazy
species,
storytelling.
like a species that's being enslaved and is made a servant to a society that doesn't want people to recognize
that was
that
touched
they
on in
are.
the first one. I
Yeah,
got
but
that.
no, you don't feel like that was. There were whole scenes like that whole scene in the whatever the ship is that's in the ocean where they are basically being birthed
No, I
by the
I got
like.
it in the first film. We got the
Oh, I
whole,
think it was-
Chris was the pleasure model. Should have set that up right there.
frog
The
man.
it
pleasure
was
model.
no.
It's just a grog.
Yeah.
That's why you don't like Picnic at Hanging Rock either.
Now you need to go watch Walk Hard.
I have watched it.
That's freaking
Dewey
awesome.
Cox, yeah.
His Dylan phase.
I know.
I was almost crying. I was
I
laughing
know,
so
it's
hard.
funny. It is.
I
He
want
does
to
it-
see this hanging.
Anyway.
What is it? Hanging at something? What?
Oh, Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Picnic at Hanging
I
Rock.
want to run a game that is like basically, like a ladies' school, women like manner.
Finishing
yeah.
school?
A finishing school, yeah. It's the whole Miss Somebody's for school for
Yeah.
young ladies, and it totally has that creepy
So-
70s.
Yeah.
You say you work in Hollywood. I don't know what you do,
Supernatural
but Peter Weir.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like one of his first directorial debuts, and it's that whole Peter Weir thing where it's very mystical and very
Yeah.
weird, and you
Yeah.
don't really know what
No,
genre,
you
what
don't.
time escape it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're left sort of like. But I watched all of Hanging Rock and went, that's 3 hours of my life.
No, but it's got such.
It's an art
great,
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just
Yeah.
realized that finishing school has an entirely different meaning if you go to a massage school.
We at Happy Jacks would like to apologize for those of you that went to
Massage therapy.
And I was trying to say Miss Adelaide School for
Oh, Miss.
young
yeah,
ladies of
yeah.
quality.
Yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this, I was trying to remember, it's from
Yeah.
South Adelaide.
We made Adam tired.
Yeah, Adam.
He's
I'm
like, I'm
gonna
done.
I'm gonna finish his email.
All right,
goddammit.
God damn it.
I know, sorry.
The longest,
It's-
it's just, what time are we up to now?
And I'm sorry,
it's
but these-
11:23. We're at
Yeah.
3.5 hours.
This might be a
No,
record.
it's not. These look like
8, 9, 10, 11,
These look
23.
like candy, and I want to eat them.
Don't eat them.
Okay.
Here, have an Altoid.
Okay, I'll do that.
I was
Have an
able to
Altoid.
open my own gaming store with my friend and girlfriend
Woo.
and have made
did I
it
skip
a
ahead?
solemn
What?
vow
Oh, I
to
did.
make. Huh?
I skipped it. Oh, sorry. I just realized I'd turned the page and I shouldn't have turned the page yet. We weren't done with that.
And have made my solemn vow to make sure no one feels alienated at a tabletop game that I ever run.
Yes.
Again.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting through this long email. I hope it was a wacky ride for you guys, as it was for me to remember all this stuff. Take a drink.
Absolutely.
Out
With
of drink.
my-
We
yeah.
finished
Run out of
all the
beer.
beer.
Without
P.S. A lot of players from this story went on to be great people except for the GM. I am still good friends with his sister, and I was asking her why she never tried more RP, and she said she would probably enjoy it. Turns out she had. In a game run by her brother, the first thing that occurred to her level 1 character was that she had all her clothes stolen and had to dance to get her first drink at the bar while the other players watched the sight, not helping her out.
Yeah.
Is it Neckbeard?
Her brother. Her
That
brother.
Her
was-
brother.
Yeah.
That was the
That's
that was
a
the
little-
GM that like
That ruined it for her.
yeah
Yeah.
That's very Roman.
It's also very, yeah.
yeah and also,
Yeah, it
Those
is.
and also violates the most important rule.
It does put the Rex in Oedipus Rex.
It puts the pus in Oedipus Rex.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. I'm going to close this.
Yeah, that was crazy. That's what happens when you put a 4-page email and a 3.5-page email.
Right, it's true, yeah,
And a 2-page email.
Yeah, do a bunch of smart people. See what we do.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for season
Yes.
21, episode 6 of Happy Jack's
This
RP
might be a
Podcast.
record. This might
My
be
name
the
is
longest.
Gina.
My name is Stu.
I'm gonna just wait. How much longer do we have to be to have this be the longest?
It's not
email
going
ever?
to because I have to be at
Yeah.
Panera Bread at 8 o'clock in the morning because my daughter has cookie sales.
Good night.
I am Adam. Good night.
Good night. Thank you very much. Next week, Saturday, 8 p.m. Sábado Gigante at the game convention.
Oh, and next Monday night, Interpol X, right here on Happy Jack's RPG.
Right.
There
Right.
you go. Oh, and
All the
Sunday,
games.
L5R.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll leave the song.
Bye.
Hero Pathfinder, fatal savage world. Evil plots will be usurping. Though we could do with less burping. Happy Jack's podcast will be douche
preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Why problem make when you no problem have you don't want to make?
Go away, Baton!